And welcome into St. Thomas Sports Park, 104.5 The Zone. Buck Rising broadcasting live during Titans training camp day number 6 underway. Lucas Panzica, Kirby Allen Kirby. We got Will Bowling running around here, scattering, trying to find video. Titans on the practice field. Team drills taking place at this point. 1v1, buddy. This is some excitement to start practice today.
Yeah, good energy today. They did not jump into the drills that they did early on yesterday as quickly, but definitely good vibes for, day 6 of Titans training camp?
Well, yeah, because you do the thing that you're never supposed to do, right? You're supposed to talk about how lucky we are with the weather that we got.
Well, we are. I mean, look around. I was going to do that right off the top, but you stole my thunder.
Shame on you, really.
It feels amazing out here.
If it starts raining, I curse you both.
Kirby Allen Kirby, back to the shadows. Yes. We are hanging out here today. Kristian Fulton's going to come stop by the tent after practice wraps up, and we'll catch up with the Titans' former second-round pick, starting corner. Looking pretty crisp so far on the offensive side of the football after 2 days. Lax is not the right word, but just not as sharp, I think you would say. All three of the quarterbacks not necessarily playing up to potential yesterday between Malik Willis, Ryan Tannehill, and Logan Woodside, red zone drills specifically being the focus. But we talked to Todd Downing already this morning. We're going to meet with Shane Bowen after practice concludes, Titans OC and DC respectively. A lot of things to talk about, particularly with the development of the quarterbacks just generally. Are we past the point where people are asking about Malik Willis as the second quarterback, or do you think that's still something we have to overcome?
No, I think we are beyond that point. I have not seen anybody say that, and I think that anybody that complains about stop talking about Malik Willis as the starting quarterback is just trying to create that narrative, because nobody is saying that.
Well, I mean, I think there are still there are people on the internet saying such things, but not people who've been out here watching practice on a day-to-day. Pretty interesting to watch him kind of get frustrated yesterday. Threw an interception, had a fumble. Kind of showed his emotions a little bit. Todd Downing got after him after the rep, basically saying that's not the way that they like to carry themselves. You don't want to over-emote after a bad play, particularly when it may not necessarily be about you. If the receiver ran a wrong route, the last thing you want to do is throw your hands up in the air, because then your teammate's going to be like, bleep that guy. It's exactly the kind of thing that they're trying to prevent at the most important position. But honestly, in listening to Downing talk about Malik's progress earlier this morning, I thought it was pretty interesting. Let's hear from the Titans OC.
Collegiate level, and I think he's starting to find out that some of those tight window throws, or if you're a little bit late on something, you can't necessarily just make up for it with ball speed, right? The DBs are going to close that window a little bit faster. So there's a development there, right? There's a dependency on physical tools that sometimes needs to progress to more of the footwork and listening to your feet and letting your feet redirect your eyes, those types of things. But Malik's on a good trajectory. He's had some learning experiences out there, but he's a great kid with high character who comes in and wants to know the why. He wants to understand what occurred with the mistake, and then he generally makes a new one. So excited about where he's at.
So that was Titans OC Todd Downing talking about Malik Willis this morning when he met with Titans media. Logan Woodside currently in at quarterback right now as the Titans go through team. Do you feel any more confident about your play-by-play ability today, since they're literally right on top of us?
Yes, this is a much more
Do you need me to be your spotter?
Significant vantage point. Could you be my spotter?
I'll be your Doug.
I would love to have a spotter. We do not have a spotter during our high school football broadcasts on 104.5 The Zone, so that would be a great luxury.
Your boy Josh Malone just heard you. Now visibility is affected.
Yeah, he literally stepped directly into my line of vision.
I thought you guys were supposed to stick together. Balls for life. What happened?
That's okay. Malone owes me nothing.
A handoff there to start or to continue this 11-on-11 drill that's taking place right now. Titans 2s going against the second team defense at this point. Traylon Burks working with the second team and the first team. Kyle Phillips, though, mostly relegated, it would seem, to second and third team reps, although we have seen him work in with all three of the quarterbacks in some form or fashion.
And he's looked good.
He's looked very good, certainly in the one-on-ones. Obviously, those things favor the offense, and you have to be cognizant of that. And there's teaching moments. There's good reps to be had for the defensive backs as well. Because if you're going to make mistakes, if you're going to get beat, training camp is the place that you prefer to have that done so it doesn't happen against Who's playing wide receiver for the Giants right now? I just had to think about that. Wandale Robinson. Who else?
Kadarius Toney.
Kadarius Toney is still there. I guess it's only
still there.
It's only his second year. Sterling Sharp still a Giant. Is that a thing?
I was literally Googling that right before you said that. Sterling Sharp, no, he is an analyst for NFL Network.
What?
No, that is.
How old is Sterling Sharp?
It's Sterling Shepard.
Sterling Shepard. You're thinking of Sterling Shepard.
Okay.
Yeah, Sterling Sharp is 57 years old.
Okay, excellent. Excellent.
Yes.
We got time till week 1.
Sterling Clay Shepard does play for the New York Football Giants. But you say those drills one-on-ones favor the offense. That's true, but there is something to be said for the offense beating the defensive back with the first step off the line of scrimmage. And that's something that I've seen from Kyle Phillips. Saw it this morning against Chris Jackson in one of those one-on-one drills on a post route, literally right off the line of scrimmage.
Logan Woodside just sailed a ball high there, intended for Traylon Burks, trying to get the defender's number through traffic. 28 on the interception, Lucas, in blue for the defense.
That's Josh Kalu.
Josh Kalu, the return, the second iteration of Josh Kalu as a Tennessee Titan. 615-737-1045, that's the number if you want to jump in. If you have questions about what's happening out here on the practice field today, we're going to have everything available for you. And again, Kristian Fulton, as I mentioned, going to stop by later on in the show. The DBs is what we're previewing today as we continue our positional look ahead throughout the course of Titans training camp. Did edge rushers yesterday after we spoke with Rashad Weaver, who I thought was really good. I thought that was an enjoyable interview. I thought we learned a lot. I thought that was very productive. And I feel as confident, and I think I said this yesterday with Teresa Walker, I feel as confident about the outside linebacker group as I have at any other point in me covering this team. Now, I think the height of what I've seen compared to what people who have been here for 20, 25 years have seen, Brian Arakpo and Derek Morgan is what I associate with the most recent productive set of pass rushers alongside Jarrell Casey that the Titans have had prior to this group. But in looking at the secondary, the thing that we're going to kind of discuss today is, who kind of emerges as the top player at the corner spot specifically. Because Fulton's a good player. He is indisputably right now their top option. But in watching Caleb Farley here recently, who's currently lined up on defense, and we'll see what happens. Ryan Tannehill dropping back to pass, completed.
Nice grab,
Nick Westbrook-Akina with Amani Hooker in coverage at this point. But yes, I think that Caleb Farley, based on what we're seeing out in practice, provided that he stay healthy, which is of course not a given, I think there's a conversation to be had about which is the better player at the position, because Farley just has this. I mean, it's just size. It's just overwhelming athletic ability and size that's uncommon at his position. I think no matter what you're talking about. I think on the phone yesterday when we were playing the show, I called him polite. Like he's built like polite Jalen Ramsey.
What? Just he doesn't talk as much?
Yeah, it's decidedly. He's not rolling up to training camp in a Brinks truck the way that Jalen Ramsey did a couple of years ago when he was still with the Jags. Incompletion deep down the left sideline from Tannehill to Nick Westbrook-Akina. Looked like KB closed in.
Yeah, Fulton in coverage there too.
On the pass. So we'll take a look at the corners today. We will have a lot of coverage from training camp. We're also going to speak with our buddy Dan Lust, the sports attorney, about what happened in the Deshaun Watson ruling yesterday and what kind of a win this was for the NFLPA, given Sue Robinson's decisions on the Cleveland Browns quarterback. A lot of fun to have out here. Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park is where we are broadcasting live. I was told I got to get the sponsors right on the training camp locale, so we must make sure to do that. Hanging out here on this Tuesday, Lucas Panzica, Kirby Allen Kirby. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
The Buck Rising Show is powered by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Visit springhillac.com.
Welcome back live from St. Thomas Sports Park. Titans training camp day 6 underway. Brett, what are you doing with this music? What are you doing with the breaking the law music? What happened here?
Well, we have a lawyer coming on, and so I figured it would fit accordingly.
Yes, but Dan Lust will tell you that no laws, it seems, have been broken according to the criminal process.
He's up.
Plenty of settlements going around, though. What's up, Danny?
A pleasure to join you guys, and I hear the commotion in the background. I'm told you guys are on location. Very exciting stuff.
Yeah, I'm watching some team drills right now. You got any interest in Malik Willis at quarterback for the Tennessee Titans? Third-string quarterback stuff, do it for you?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I was once upon a time a PR intern for the New York Giants,
Yeah.
so I know those fields very well.
To training camp in full effect. But Dan, yesterday the ruling from retired Judge Sue L. Robinson coming down in the Deshaun Watson NFL personal conduct situation. 6 games, no additional fines outside of losing the money from the 6 games, the 6 game checks that he'll miss. The NFLPA saying that they planned not to appeal on behalf of Deshaun Watson and challenging the NFL to do the same. What did you make of the ruling and the situation that's come since?
So unintentionally, I found myself in somewhat of a hot take situation. I read the opinion, and you know, in my world, I read a lot of decisions. That's what we do as lawyers. We try to figure out, you know, in any one case that we have, we look back towards past precedent and what a judge might have decided, or what a particular court or a higher court decided. So you can read any number of decisions. You kind of know where the judge is going, you know, a page or two in, and then you can kind of skip to the bottom and see the conclusion. And then obviously read the space in between. You read Judge Robinson's decision. Really, the first 2/3 of that opinion seems like she's going to come with the hammer to Watson. She finds that the NFL has established their burden to show that Watson engaged in sexual assault with 4 different women, that he posed some degree of harm to these women, and that he made the league look bad from a PR perspective, right? So the NFL has satisfied their burden, yet she goes with a punishment 6 games, which is akin to what a guy like Zeke Elliott got, Ben Roethlisberger, different types of allegations. But I was ready for the hammer, and then I see 6 games, and that was surprising. So I mean it to be a hot take, but I really think Judge Robinson planned to issue a larger suspension, but then kind of chickened out and kind of took a little bit of a U-turn for whatever reason. But I read an opinion that looked like it was going towards the hammer, and then for whatever reason veered off track.
See, that's fascinating because in her opinion, as you mentioned, and a lot of that was leaked to a lot of people in NFL media. Dan Lust, by the way, here with us on 104.5 The Zone. At Sports Law Lust is where you can follow the shows. We basically have been treating you like our legal counsel, Dan, except we haven't offered you any kind of a retainer. I feel like that we need to do that at some point. Perhaps we'll invite you out for training camp, and we'll call that fair and square, huh?
I think that's fair. That's totally fair. You guys are a good hang, I can tell.
Anyway, but yeah, in reading the opinion with what was leaked to the media after the fact, I found it interesting that she was citing, as you mentioned, previous precedent from NFL punishments that have been handed down before, given the whole reason that Sue Robinson is in this position is because the Players Union does not want those situations to continue, with Roger Goodell being judge, jury, and executioner when it comes to player punishment in that way. So to kind of hear you articulate it from that standpoint as a lawyer yourself, Dan, I think that kind of falls more in line with what people's initial reactions were, even as I think there was a lot of conversation yesterday about being like, yeah, she's citing former precedent. I guess that makes sense. Maybe the punishment is in fact fair.
These are one of these days, and I tried to not go that hard on Twitter, but the people that were defending the punishment said, hey, it's based on precedent. And I'm like, can anybody point to a player or anybody that's been accused of this type of conduct with this amount of women? Like, it hasn't happened.
Which
right?
she said on the front end.
That's it. Which she acknowledged in her opinion that she agreed with the NFL's assessment that this was an unprecedented event. Yet somehow Frankenstein's an opinion that relied on precedent that really didn't have any, what we would say in the legal space, precedential value, because this is, right, a case involving a number of massage therapists. She found that Watson engaged in the NFL's definition of sexual assault. She viewed it as being, nonviolent, but I don't, to me, I think she's drawing a distinction where there doesn't really need to be one, right? Nonviolent, I don't really know how she draws that distinction. If you're going to say something is non-consensual and someone is doing something against someone's will, we're really dealing in shades of gray and violence or nonviolence. So I did, it was certainly within her right to issue a larger suspension, but she didn't do it. And I think, Buck, that takes us to the really interesting decision here. So people can say 6 games, they could be happy, they could be sad. But what I'm trying to alert everyone to is this is not the decision that is going to decide Deshaun Watson's fate. It's really what comes between now and Thursday. And that's the NFL's deadline to file an appeal. And in our normal courts, if someone is making a decision whether to appeal or not, the question is really whether they're going to win on appeal. And there's different standards depending on when you're appealing. But here, the NFL is not deciding whether to appeal because they're not sure if they're going to win, because they are appealing this decision to themselves. They're appealing it to Roger Goodell. So if they appeal, they know they'll win, and they can up the suspension. Roger Goodell can up it to a number he feels is appropriate. They're really deciding what the optics look like. If they are to appeal to themselves and to basically give themselves a win, right? It's like that Obama meme, right? Like he's giving himself a medal. Like that's essentially what the NFL would be doing. They'd be giving themselves a win. But the optics would be what Sue Robinson has done for the last month, an impartial arbiter. It doesn't really matter because Goodell's just going to appoint his own level of suspension. So if the NFL appeals, I do predict that they'll up that suspension, but we'll know if the NFL appeals really by that deadline of Thursday.
The Conduct Detrimental podcast is what you should be listening to. Dan and his co-host breaking down every legal situation in the sports world in great detail in ways that are easy for you to understand. He's here with us now on 104.5 The Zone. So with the situation now, between now and Thursday, as you mentioned, the NFL's window to appeal the suspension, it would seem to me that this would present Roger Goodell, who, whatever you think of him, is the front-facing entity in all this for the sake of the ownership, if nothing else. But it would present Roger Goodell a pretty easy situation with which to kind of lay down his sword on this and say, you know what, the appeal isn't necessarily going to bear out the way that we wanted. We didn't get the indefinite suspension. If the quarterback's back on the field by week 7, when they play, what is it, at Baltimore, Lucas? I think it's at Baltimore.
It is in Baltimore. Deshaun Watson's debut.
Deshaun Watson missing one divisional game, and for the sake of television networks, which is what all of this is about, just the business, what makes the most business sense, it would seem to me that it would make the most sense for Roger to kind of just let this one go.
Sure, it might. It also maybe made some sense not to pursue Tom Brady for like a slightly deflated ball, but that's been the NFL's MO, right? I think there's sometimes where, from an optics perspective, they treat certain things very harshly and other things they kind of let slide. It's really at a certain point, right? The NFL runs the league and the players just kind of live in that league. So I don't know another way to put it. Like, certainly Goodell probably could let this go, but that's what he's weighing right now when he's, making his phone calls to his advisors, what it would look like if the NFL just, sat on their hands and let Thursday come and go. Certainly the story would start to fade to the background. And the other note that we should mention, right, in the tornado of this news cycle, Watson also settled 3 more civil cases.
Right.
So it only has one left. So maybe the NFL is saying, hey, Watson's trying to settle all of these cases. If we don't appeal, that kind of ends the story. If they do appeal, Buck, interestingly, right, they're going to up. I can almost guarantee that if they do appeal, Goodell's doing it with the intention of upping it. And then, right, Watson could take this matter to federal court, and it could be Deflategate all over again, dealing with the federal courts, and a level of transparency that I'm sure the NFL is not comfortable with. These public, federal court filings that, we can all parse through as attorneys. I think the NFL is trying to avoid that. So I think that's really the question. Does the NFL, A, do they, what the advocacy groups are maybe saying, but 2, if they do appeal this and they do up the suspension, I think we know that Watson's going to take this to federal court to challenge it if he's really suspended for a year after all is said and done. So, in the grand scheme of things, yes, the 6 games is an important, checkpoint on our Watson trail, but really Thursday is the biggest decision in all of this.
At Sports Law Lust is where you can follow Dan Lust, sports attorney, here with us right now on 104.5 The Zone. So So with all of this, Dan, I think it's important for you, from your standpoint and your expertise, to kind of reiterate to the audience what the settlements mean. We've talked about a variety of them at this point, and again, only one civil suit remaining after the original 24. But the settlement means that he's not guilty, but it also is not an outright proclamation of innocence, correct? Because I feel like people lose sight of that.
Right. Well, usually, and I haven't seen the settlement papers here, but the par for the course is essentially you will sign a settlement and release agreement. You'll pay some undisclosed amount of money, but the release will say that the person is willing to pay this money, and it's not admission of guilt. They're admitting no fault or any wrongdoing. So, certainly someone could fairly say, why are you settling the case if you have no culpability? And that's fair. But, on paper, these settlement releases, and these general releases are going to have language where Watson is explicitly saying, I didn't do anything wrong, and I'm paying this, not because I did it, because I'm just paying this to end the litigation for whatever reason. So, we're talking about settlements. 23 of 24 lawsuits have been settled to this point. No numbers have been disclosed. The other settlement that people should be paying attention to, the Houston Texans, which I think I spoke to you guys about a week or two ago,
right?
They were starting to be brought into these cases. The attorney for the accuser said he was going to bring the Texans formally into more of the cases, and that's because of this allegation that Texans helped facilitate Watson's acts while he was a member and an employee of the organization. Now, very quickly, the Houston Texans turned around and settled, and I'm going to tell you a number here. This is not a typo. I'm not saying it wrong. They settled with 30 women.
Oof.
So you have Watson settling 23 of 24 cases. You have the Texans settling 30 cases. So that's a number that is unaccounted for. That six more women settled at the Texans and have not yet sued Deshaun Watson. So again, in the grand scheme of this, yes, the settlements are important, but that nothing, as I've seen so far, is going to preclude more cases to not come against Watson. You have six more women that settled with the Texans that haven't yet settled with Watson. So, if people think this is over, no more lawsuits are coming, we certainly don't know that. No one can tell you that at this stage.
Yeah, the clause in there, and just listening to some of the reporting on it yesterday, like being included that he's only permitted to use massage therapists that the Browns employ now. Like, I scoffed at that, even as I understand why it's in there, because they're going to try at least to provide the optics that they're controlling this thing as much as humanly possible. But also, Dan, like, I got to think, if you're a Browns massage therapist on staff and that's getting written into your contract, would that not make you call a lawyer?
I spent a lot of time looking at the Kyler Murray stuff a week ago, whenever it was, and I said, if they're really going to put that clause in his contract that he's required to do homework, maybe he's not the best investment at $160 million guaranteed. And then I joked on our show. I said, if the Browns are smart, they probably should have put a provision in there that said you can get no outside massages. I would think that if you're going to invest $230 million guaranteed in Watson, it should be in there. And lo and behold, the judge did it for them, right? And I think if the judge is going to come out and say that, that tells you, right? She didn't say it explicitly in the decision, but that Watson has a problem, right? Watson had a problem that required that proclamation to be put in the decision. In addition to her finding that he committed sexual assault. So, going back to where we started the conversation, the fact that 6 games was picked was by no means mandated by, the personal conduct policy. If you commit nonviolent sexual assault, you get 6 games. No, that's not how it works. Certainly the judge could have done a lot more. And I think in her heart of hearts, if you just read the decision, it seems like she was ready to go there. So I don't know. I'm certainly seeing some people say, hey, she agreed to go with a lower amount of games because she was worried about Watson appealing. And then, the other end of it, because she went too low, now the NFL might still appeal. So I think she tried to find a sweet spot to make both sides happy, but, we'll see if the NFL lets it stand.
That's Dan Lust at Sports Law Lust is where you can follow him. Check out the Conduct Detrimental podcast for all the information that you need to know about the legal world as it relates to sports. Thank you, Dan. I assume we're going to be calling you here in the next week or so, depending on what the NFL decides to do.
I'm game for it. Just throw up that bat signal. I'll be there.
Thank you, buddy. That's the show's attorney, Dan Lust, hanging out with us. Does that make you feel any different about what the Watson situation was? Because to hear Dan kind of articulate that from a lawyer's standpoint, that she had intended, Sue L. Robinson, likely to give Watson a bigger suspension, but ultimately ended up, in Dan's words, chickening out and going with the 6 games. That's much stronger criticism than I've heard of this decision from anybody else, and certainly nobody more qualified than Dan.
Yeah, what he says on that carries way more weight than what we say when we look at it at surface level. So when he says she made a decision based on precedent for allegations and conduct that are completely unprecedented, it's almost comforting to know he's as confused by that as we are.
You want to do some winners and losers of the sports weekend?
Yes, because we've got some stuff to give away.
We do have stuff to give away. If you want to go to the Music City Grand Prix this Sunday, we've got 2 tickets for you coming up next. Winners and losers of the sports weekend. You give us yours, and we'll send you to the General Jackson Zone Experience. What happened? What are you waving at?
Give the phone number.
615-737-1045. That's the number. What, I forget the phone number?
Yes.
I think I say that in my sleep when I go to bed. All right, we'll do that coming up next. I'm Buck Rising. We are live from Titans training camp. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Listen in your
Buck.
roughing me up. Winners and losers of the sports weekend coming here in just a second. If you want to jump in for your chance to win a couple of VIP passes to the Zone for the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix, we got you covered. So jump in on the line right now, and we will get the winners and losers of the sports weekend from you here shortly. What are you waving at? 615-737-1045. Why don't you just give the phone number out?
Why don't you just give the phone
I don't
number
want to do
out?
sign language. I'm out here trying to watch, 7-on-7s and special teams and remember all the proper terms that you told me to use when I give away the tickets, all these things. Hand signals. This is a terrible way to do a sports talk radio show. Anyway, before we do winners and losers of the sports weekend, Lucas, you got some practice updates. Racing McMath going down earlier on a diving catch. Looked like he left the practice field.
Yeah, but reports were, I did not see him come back out, but I saw a report that he did trot back out onto the field. A-to-Z Sports had it. But a lot happened in those team drills when we were talking to Dan Lust about Deshaun Watson. McMath hauled in a couple of bombs for touchdowns. And the second one, it looked like he kind of fell on top of the football, maybe got the wind knocked out of him a little bit, but was able to come back out. And then Malik Willis with a field goal drive, couple of first down scampers escaping the pocket to his right. There is a very clear comfort level there for him with that escapability to his right side. One sack in that drive, one completion.
Lines are blowing up. I'll
and
be back in a
field
sec.
goal from Randy Bullock, and A-to-Z Sports marked them down. He was 8 for 8 in his first kicking session of the day.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at Randy and the GOAT, Brett Kern, right now. We asked to have them on the show. I don't know when we'll do our special teams preview, but I'll go harass Brett and Randy after we wrap up this segment here. So good to keep an eye on, and we'll continue to update you. Practice concludes at 11:15 today, and then Kristian Fulton will come over, hang out with us, and we'll see what's going on with the LSU product in his third year here in today. Third year or fourth year for Kristian Fulton?
It'll be his third year.
Third year?
Yeah, drafted in 2020.
I'm getting old. All right, winners and losers of the sports weekend. Brett, give me the circus music. Excellent. This is the way it works. You give us a winner and a loser from the sports weekend. We like it. We'll give you a pair of tickets to the Music City Grand Prix, the Big Machine Music City
Give me a
Grand
sec on
Prix.
calls.
The Zone General Jackson experience is where you go. 615-737-1045. We'll get to your phone calls here in just a second. I hesitate to give out my winner of the sports weekend, Lucas. I really do. But I think that Deshaun Watson, as far as playing football is concerned, Deshaun Watson got a bigger win than anybody I have seen this weekend. Now, you can have moral objections to it. I think those are completely fair. In fact, I don't know what you tell female football fans after the ruling that Judge Sue L. Robinson handed down yesterday. But in the meantime, as far as it relates to getting him back out on the field, he had a major win yesterday in only getting a 6-game suspension. Like I said, there are ethical concerns, there are moral concerns, and there's probably not the behavior has not been copped to. I haven't heard any kind of admission of guilt or even remorse from Deshaun Watson. But still, he's going to be playing football after 6 games right now. And at the end of the day, that's what he and his legal team have been fighting for.
Yeah, and it's been pretty cringy to me to see some of the reception that he's gotten from Browns fans
Well,
in practice.
I mean, what do you want him to do, though?
I know.
I know. I struggle so much with that. But the fact remains, it was a legal battle. The lawyers for Deshaun Watson fought and won. It would seem at this point, we'll wait for the NFL's appeal between now and Thursday. But as for right now, that man's playing football after week 6.
My winner of the sports weekend, the Gus Bus. Gus Malzahn in UCF, who just secured the highest-rated commitment in UCF history. And 4-star defensive lineman John Walker. When that happened last week, UCF would have had the best class in the Big 12, their future conference. As of today, with some momentum in recent days from Texas and Oklahoma, UCF would currently have the 3rd best recruiting class in the conference. The 2 teams that are ahead of them will no longer be in the conference when UCF joins the Big 12. So Gus Malzahn in Central Florida, my winners of the weekend.
As far as losers are concerned, I think my attention, we didn't talk about Bill Russell yesterday, and I almost regretted that we didn't, just given how big a presence he had in the sports world and really just culture going back to the 1960s and 70s and how much impact he had on so many people's lives. Nobody more universally remembered well, I thought, than what I saw on social media over the weekend from Bill Russell. So losers, all of us who have lost an icon truly, and somebody who I think you look up to as far as how to handle difficult situations, given the amount of scrutiny, the amount of, just even from his own fan base when he was winning titles with the Boston Celtics, the kind of stories you read about Boston during that time. It's horrifying stuff. Bill Russell, a tremendous loss over the weekend.
My loser of the weekend, Ferrari. Scuderia. On Sunday, the Hungarian Grand Prix completely botching their strategy as they have done all season long, starting the race on medium tires, their first pit stop, fitting another set of medium tires to Charles Leclerc's car, and ending the race on hard tires, despite the fact that nobody else on the grid was doing that, and due to temperatures in Hungary, that was not a good strategy. They were not able to sufficiently warm up, and it greatly affected the pace of the car. Ferrari has had great drivers, great cars all season long, yet they continue to fall back behind Red Bull in the grid. So Ferrari, my loser of the weekend.
You talking about motorsports is the most engaged I've seen with Kirby, or the most engaged I've seen Kirby basically in the 5 days, 6 days that we've been out here doing training camp practices. All right, Kirby, back to the shadows. 615-737-1045. Who are the winners and losers of the sports weekend? You give us the best ones, we'll send you to the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix this Sunday for the Zone's General Jackson VIP experience.
A bunch just dropped. You got Dylan, Dustin, and
Dylan
Jason.
in Gallatin up first. Hello, Dylan.
Hey, Buck. What's up, man?
What's happening?
So, my winner of the week is going to be Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. I don't know if you guys know, but that dude came out on a tractor and picked up Roman Reigns, put him in the bucket, and then dumped him in the ring. And then all of a sudden, he backs up and then picks up the ring and then dumps him out.
That's right.
It was awesome. It was hilarious. And then my loser, and I know it wasn't over the weekend, but the judge for Deshaun Watson, that was terrible. I mean, 6 weeks. It should have been way more. The Calvin Ridley, he got, a year for sports betting?
$1,500 bet, $1,500 parlay on his own team cost Calvin Ridley an entire season, and the NFL gave, or rather, Sue L. Robinson gave Deshaun Watson 6 games for, all of the things.
It should have
that are
been at least been half the season, but it should have been a full year in my opinion. But I love you guys' show. I watch it or listen to it every day, so I appreciate you guys.
I appreciate the call. Thank you. 615-737-1045. Did you pay attention to any of the WrestleMania stuff, or rather, not WrestleMania, SummerSlam?
I did not. I went down to Birmingham for my mom's birthday, so I saw some clips on social media. It did look like a fun event. It looked like it would have been fun to be there, and I know the Titans were there.
Yeah, no, they took the whole team. I've never seen Kevin Byard into anything in my life, like go full fan mode, the way I saw him getting hyped up when Jake Paul body slammed The Miz.
No, Logan Paul, right?
Logan Paul. The Pauls, they bleed together. Although they're making very, very good money staging fake fights on YouTube, so perhaps I should put more respect on the Paul brothers' name. But yeah, I had FOMO. I kind of wish I would have gone. I had the opportunity to go. I passed it up at the last minute.
You got
Regrettable
Chase,
on my
Cousin
part.
P, and Jason.
Let's go to Chase up next for winners and losers of the sports weekend. What's up, Chase?
Hey, what's up, guys? My losers of the weekend is going to be Live Golf for backing up the brakes truck to Tiger Woods and failing. And my winner is going to be Tiger Woods for being able to look at a brakes truck and say, I don't want it. I'm good enough.
Did you see that? Thank you for the call, Chase. Did you see the number that they offered?
Well,
Tiger?
yeah, what was the figure?
I'm pulling it up right now just so I can be
700 to 800 million.
I was going to say 800 million, but then I was like, that just can't possibly be right.
Greg Norman did an interview. He said they offered Tiger Woods $700 to $800 million to join the Live Golf Tour, and Tiger said, "Bleep you! No, I'm not going. Not only am I not going to take your money, I'm going to rip your tour at the Open when they played at St. Andrews here in the last couple of weeks." I mean, Tiger Woods, I guess, is one of the rare people in life that doesn't need $700 to $800 million. But I mean, it does make you reconsider, like criticizing people like Charles Barkley, who have at least entertained the option to take the Live Golf bag because they have got all kinds of money. Kirby, you got thoughts on Saudi golf?
Charles Barkley said no too. By the way.
No, I know he did.
Yeah, he was stand up and he said no. If you want to whore yourself out over there, go ahead.
I mean,
I'm like, what got you where you are was the PGA. If you're going to bail to go over there just for cash, I mean, first of all, if you're an athlete, earn your cash on that course, not for showing up.
But Curb, if they're going to put it out there, I understand on principle. You are 1,000% correct, but it's difficult for me to criticize anybody for taking
different
that
era.
amount of money.
Different era. I mean, like for instance, if they offered me, just let's be stupid, they offered me $50,000 to come out here and sit in a chair, just for showing up.
I thought
right?
that was your daily rate anyway.
Whoa. I got extra, family members will come out.
We've been paying Kirby the
but,
golf money on the side.
If I'm not doing something to earn, I mean, I don't want it.
No, and I think there's a lot of people who have that as a guiding principle, and there's a lot of people who don't, Curb. And
I mean, if I had Tiger's money, I mean, I don't care what they do,
Yeah.
kind of a thing, right? Because he's got more money than that anyway. But, yeah, we all need cash to survive. But, I mean, yeah, it's called integrity.
To a certain extent. How much is your integrity worth, basically, is what Live Golf is asking you. By the way, a quick update on Titans practice. Daniel Munyer just limped out of the team period that is currently going on with
You
the
got
twos.
Cousin P and Jason.
Logan Woodside is currently quarterbacking over on the second field. So Ben Jones dealing with injury earlier in the week. He's back, though. Daniel Munyer, the backup center, leaving this drill just now. Preston is up next on 104.5.
No, he
for
dropped.
the
It's Cousin
winners
P and Jason.
losers of the sports weekend. Is that who?
No, Cousin Pete. We'll go to Cousin Pete.
Okay.
Hey, guys, how are you?
We're doing great.
Excellent. So, my loser of the week as a Titans fan, it has really, can we do loser of the entire offseason? It's definitely going to be A.J. Brown. But loser of the week for the show's purpose is A.J. Brown for another salty tweet and another shot at Titans fans. Please stop, dude. You're in Philly now. You're not here anymore. My winner of the week, I'm going to go a little bit about what we heard earlier. You had a caller calling about Brock Lesnar.
Mm-hmm.
Mine's going to be Logan Paul. Do we know this kid was that good? Do we know he was that good at wrestling?
Well, I mean, he's athletic, so I appreciate the call, Pete.
I mean, but yes, sir. But hey, to do that, that's amazing stuff, man. But all right, thanks, guys.
No, it's why I'm never like dismissive of professional wrestling.
You got Jason
those
if you
dudes
want
are
it.
still jumping 50
Yeah.
feet in the air.
I did not.
Pat McAfee did a backflip after like he botched one of the stunts in the middle of it. It was crazy to watch.
I did not know Logan Paul had that in him. He was doing some incredible stuff.
No, he straight up flew. Like I was checking for wires in the middle of that broadcast to see if they helped him at all get up there. Yeah, the AJ. We made it through all of Monday's show without talking about AJ Brown's tweets. Can I not talk about AJ Brown's tweets? I don't care. I just don't care anymore. Like, I liked covering AJ. I think Titans fans liked having AJ here while he was here, and he doesn't play for your football team anymore. So let go and let God. Like, at this point with the AJ Brown experience, zen. Just namaste. Stay off Twitter, or at least unfollow him and stop doing this to yourself if you're somebody who's driven crazy by his social media habits. We got one more left there, Brett. Who's on the line?
We got Jason in Nashville.
Jason in Nashville is our last submission for winners and losers of the sports weekend to go to this weekend's Big Machine Music City Grand Prix.
Okay, Buck, so I already know I'm not going to get your favorite today, but I'm going to stick with what is on my spirit.
Please.
And I'm going to talk about the AJ thing because I know you just said not to, but it was already there before
No,
you
I
said
didn't
that.
say I didn't say not to. I just said that I don't care to.
Gotcha. I got you. And I understand how you feel because I listen to your show all the time. This ain't the first time you've told us about how you're feeling about AJ, and I understand it.
Sure.
Here's what I want to break this down. I give my winner to Deebo Samuel and the 49ers for working that out the way that could have went south. It could have went the same way the Titans had to deal with because they got the same agent as A.J. Brown and Deebo Samuel. But they worked that out. And plus, Deebo Samuel, I feel, was more of an asset to his team because he was definitely the whole offense last year, it seemed like. So he could have really used that leverage against Kyle Shanahan and them, but he ended up working the deal out. So I give the winner to that. I'm going to give 3 losers. I know that ain't in the rules, but I'm fixing to do that right now. I'm going to give my first loser to the last caller that brought up A.J. Brown because you didn't break down the frustration good enough for me. I'm giving 2 double losers to A.J. Brown because when you finally find that woman that you've been looking for, why you keep dipping back to your ex and her people? Be satisfied with the woman that's treating you right and taking care of you instead of hopping back to your past. So I don't understand that. So I wanted to put it like that because there's a lot of people that's sitting there, you got all that money and your mind's on the past. So that's my frustration. So that's the 3 losers and the 1 winner. Thanks, bro.
Outstanding. And look at that. Brett even got to use the Oscars music. You
Well
feel happy
done.
about that?
I was so excited to use that.
Hey, before we go, there is another massive loser of the weekend with some massive breaking news in the NFL.
Do you want to tease it or you want to give it to people now?
We're going to have to tease it.
Let's do that. Coming up next, live from Titans training camp. Remember, Kristian Fulton going to join us over here at the tent at 11:15. Stick around. It's 104.5 The Zone.
Checking out new Titans with Blaine and Mickey.
Yeah, gee, I like him. Ooh, I like him.
2 live from St. Thomas Sports Park. Buck Rising hanging out here with you. We got Kirby Allen Kirby. We got Lucas Panzica. We got Will Bowling running around out here somewhere. The whole 3HL crew is out here.
Yes.
I saw Don Davenport. I saw Ramon Foster. Well, I guess he's J. Martin Ramon. But Ron Slay observing practice. We'll see if we can get some practice observations from Slay later on. What do you think that's going to look like?
I don't know. Who's he going to put in the boom boom room from Titans practice?
Well, I think perhaps we allow him to put Kristian Fulton in the boom boom room. Perhaps we get a little nuts.
That would be fun.
On the show today. We'll see how it goes. You want to jump in? You can. 615-737-1045. That's our number. If you would like, who'd you give the tickets to? Who won the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix?
Well, I figured we would deliberate on the air here. We had Dylan, whose winner was Brock Lesnar, and loser was Sue Robinson. Chase had Tiger as his winner, Liv Golf as his loser. Paxton had Logan Paul as the winner, A.J. Brown as the loser, and Jason with Deebo Samuel as the winner and A.J. as the loser.
I'm biased, but I think Jason deserves it. I think Jason deserves the tickets. It made me laugh.
It was a funny delivery, and I like that we had to use the Oscars music on him. But I thought Chase's had the most substance, with Tiger Woods being his winner and Liv Golf being his loser.
I don't disagree, but as we know, the show is not a democracy. You get one vote, I get two.
Well, ultimately,
Isn't that collectively bargained?
Ultimately, Brett decides because he's the one dialing the number and calling the winner.
Uh-oh. Brett, who do you want to give the tickets
That's
to?
on the spot.
I know who Brett wants to give the tickets to.
Lucas just sold you out on the air. You're not here to defend yourself. You're not out here at our broadcast setup. Brett Batchelor is back at Network Control making it happen today. So who do you want to give the tickets to, bud? Because you could try and unseat me here.
I think because I feel like it's way overdue to still be talking about the AJ stuff. He's the one that's bringing us back into it. I'm not showing any bias here for golf, but that's still a relevant story. So me personally, I would go Chase.
I've been overruled. Look at that. You feel good about what you just did?
Yes, because I am happy with encouraging a lack of A.J. Brown talk on this show.
Okay, that's fine. Congratulations to Chase, who will be attending the VIP experience at the Music City Grand Prix Sunday. The race, the concert, the General Jackson driver Q&A that I'll be hosting. It'll be a great time, so I'm looking forward to seeing a bunch of you guys out there. And if you still need tickets, musiccitygp.com is where you go.
Or send us a video of your best Mike Vrabel impression and get them for free.
That's right. We have a couple of good ones, but we need more Mike Vrabel impressions to send somebody to the Music City Grand Prix.
Tweet them at us.
At Buck Rising is where you can tweet them. So there's big breaking news in the NFL. Brett, are you ready for the laser light show sound? Oh.
Breaking sports news on 104.5 The Zone.
Even cut me off in the middle of it like you do.
Yeah, I had my finger over it, and then it just kind of slipped, so I apologize for that.
That is the correct way to do it.
No, it's with the breaking news sounder. It's funnier if you cut me off at the pass before I can get my professional sports broadcast voice out. Excellent work by you. Anyway, the NFL has made a ruling in the case of Coach Brian Flores, the Miami Dolphins situation that has arisen this offseason. Was this before or after Tom Brady decided to retire? Because I feel like it was in the same week. I was in Mobile for the Senior Bowl when all this happened.
It does feel like it all kind of blended together. Tom Brady is referenced in the findings.
Excellent. So, the notice and penalties that the NFL is imposing on the Dolphins for what they are calling integrity of the game violations. How about that? The Dolphins had, quote, impermissible communications with quarterback Tom Brady in 2019 and 2020 while he was under contract to the New England Patriots. How about that? Tampering before he was even a free agent. Those communications began as early as August 2019 and continued through the 2019 season and postseason. So maybe when the Titans beat Brady in New England, Logan Ryan interception in the division or the wild card round to end the season, perhaps he was distracted because he was currently negotiating to become part owner of the Dolphins, according to what Stephen Ross was trying to offer him. The NFL has also said that the Dolphins had, quote, impermissible communications with both Mr. Brady and his agent during and after the 2021 season while he was under contract to the Bucs. Those discussions focused on Mr. Brady becoming a limited partner in the Miami Dolphins. So what this basically verifies is Mike Florio's incredible story about Stephen Ross, the owner of the Dolphins, trying to work his way through a situation where they could not only get Brady as a quarterback in future seasons, but make him a limited partner in the franchise and then have him work his way out of his contract and return as the quarterback of the Dolphins. They were going to hire Sean Payton. It was like it was the craziest NFL conspiracy theory I've seen.
I got to make an update on the Payton one too.
In all of the stuff Brett just told me in my ear, he has an update on the Sean Payton situation. What do you got for me, bud?
So this is from Adam Schefter. Says in January of 2022, the Dolphins had impermissible communications with Don Yee, the agent for the Saints' current head coach at the time, Sean Payton, about having Mr. Payton serve as Miami's head coach. Miami did not seek consent from New Orleans about these discussions.
Yeah, that's included in the findings. That's kind of the third bullet point in there. Nothing about Brian Flores and his allegations in here.
So this is not having to do with the Brian Flores allegations of $100,000 handshakes during the Tank for Tua season. This is having to do with basically tampering. Well, Tom Brady was still under contract, not with one team, but two.
And for Sean Payton.
So the Dolphins, in their findings, are removing, let me see, today's announcement follows a 6-month investigation covering events from 2019 to 2022. The investigation focused on whether the Dolphins violated the league rules prohibiting tampering with a player and a coach under contract with other clubs. And the findings on this, they are going to forfeit, the Dolphins are, the first-round pick in the 2023 draft and a third-round selection in 2024. They are suspending Stephen Ross, the owner, through October 17th, 2022. During this period, he may not be present at the facility and may not represent the club at any team or NFL event. He may not attend any league meetings prior to the annual meeting in 2023, and he is removed from all league committees indefinitely and fined $1.5 million. Now, $1.5 million isn't nothing to Stephen Ross. Like, he's not sweating the $1.5 million fine. But that they would basically neuter him as an owner.
He's excommunicated from anything NFL related until October 17th.
Now, make this make sense to me, okay? Because I got Roger Goodell testifying in front of Congress about Dan Snyder. And nothing can be done about Dan Snyder. But all of a sudden, Stephen Ross starts to tamper a little bit.
Yeah, you tamper with Tom Brady.
With competitive balance, and Stephen Ross is all but out of his ownership spot.
What an absolute joke.
For the first 2 months of the season, that's wild to me. How does that happen?
Well, because that affects other owners. Other owners don't want their fellow owners tampering for players under contract, tampering and having impermissible discussions with head coaches under contract like Sean Payton was with the New Orleans Saints. What Dan Snyder did, I don't think affects owners in the way that what Stephen Ross did.
Well, it does affect owners if you start to dig through Dan Snyder's skeletons in his closet, then what is the precedent for digging through other skeletons in other ownership closets?
I don't want them digging into his work environment because they might dig into my work environment. But if Stephen Ross is tampering, having impermissible contact with my head coach, no, we got to do something about that.
Well, yeah, because you're messing with somebody else's toys at that point. Can't be having that. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. This is pretty interesting to see how this plays out. And this, again, as Lucas pointed out, has nothing to do with Brian Flores' lawsuit.
Nothing to do with it.
Alleging racial discrimination in the NFL's hiring practices, something that the Titans were also implicated in with the violations of the Rooney Rule alleged by Mike Mularkey.
But also has a little something to do with the integrity of the game, with the allegations of essentially giving bonuses for losing football games.
Yeah, well, I think that's a bigger issue, especially depending on when their gambling partnerships went into place. Because if you're passing out $100,000 handshakes while, you're betting a Dolphins money line or whatever, and all of a sudden those results no longer are as clean as you once thought they were.
Stephen Ross, how about that?
Who
had him tabbed as one of the sleaziest owners in the NFL?
Well, I mean, Dolphins, I know a lot of people in Miami just because my roommate, one of my college roommates, was from Key Biscayne, and there's a bunch of long-suffering Dolphins fans in my life. It's the first time I've seen them excited in basically 15 years of knowing any of them.
Sorry, what is that word you just said?
What did I say?
He is from where?
Key Biscayne.
Did you not just make that up, or is that a real-life place? Okay, cool.
Key Biscayne?
Just making sure.
Well, listen. If you gotta ask,
Murfreesboro on Miami versus Deshaun.
If you gotta ask, you can't afford it. That kind of thing. What's the caller's name, Brett? That you just told me I had a caller in my ear.
Carl.
Carl is up next on 104.5 The Zone, talking about the Miami Dolphins' punishment for their tampering situation here recently.
Hey, Buck, how you doing?
I'm good, stud. What's happening?
Hey, not much. So, real quick, just the tampering with Brady and Coach, and they got the first round. They're going to forfeit that. The next year, the third round, they're going to forfeit that.
Correct.
That's just for tampering. So, if the NFL is going to do that for tampering, are they going to do something about Deshaun Watson for just getting 6 games or what happened? Because to me, that's a whole nother ball game. That's on a whole nother level. It should be more severe than what's just happening to the owner for doing that.
I don't think anybody disputes that, but like here's what's the biggest difference between those two things, Carl?
He dropped.
Oh, okay. Carl dropped. The biggest difference between those two things, Carl, is one directly affects the NFL's business in ways that are more tangible than the Deshaun Watson situation.
Can't have that.
The NFL can suffer 6 games without a quarterback because people are still going to watch the games. But once you start to diminish trust in the product, because all of these decisions are driven by, it's, at some point you would like them to say, we've made enough money. Let's not just make the focus constantly on the making of money as this thing. But apparently that's, it's in many different areas of corporate structure. That's not how the game goes. By the way, practice wrapping up for the Tennessee Titans here in just a second. Kristian Fulton going to come over and hang out with us at the tent after this concludes here, and we'll interview the Titans' former second-round pick.
Puka has tweeted us this quick report from Jenna Lane of ESPN saying, by the way, just a reminder, the Bucs host the Dolphins for joint practices next week.
Spicy. Look at that. Tom Brady, always in the news. I think he likes it.
Oh, yeah.
Really
absolutely.
Kristian Fulton is next, live from Titans training camp. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
Sports.
Buck QC.
Welcome back live from St. Thomas Sports Park here on 104.5 The Zone. Titans wrapping up practice for the day, starting to break out here a little bit. Kristian Fulton is going to come over here and hang out with us after he does a little bit of individual work after practice. He's out there working with some of the younger guys, some of the undrafted dudes at this point, looking like they're focused on some technique at this point. A pretty good day for the offense on the whole as they wrap up. Definitely much needed after 2 days where sluggish is not the right word. It's just not necessarily as crisp. I thought that the route precision was better. I thought that the weapons that we saw out there working with all the quarterbacks, not just Tannehill, but Malik and Woodside as well, I thought that the whole thing looked a little crisper on the offensive side of the ball, but it's been competitive through the first 6 days.
Great day for the receivers in general.
The receivers are having the receivers are the talk of camp. I mean, is there any position I think that's been more heavily scrutinized than wide receiver?
No, not top to bottom. There, you could argue, are individuals outside of that room that might be more scrutinized throughout camp. But as far as a unit, it's absolutely the wide receiver position.
Yeah. So we'll talk about the wide receiver position with Kristian Fulton when he makes his way over, because he's obviously going up against these guys on a regular basis. And the question yesterday about what's it going to take for Kyle Phillips to get reps against better corners than he's currently seeing. Now, Mike Vrabel talked about how much they liked him on the punt return unit. I think that's a place where you could very, very easily see him project right out the gate as they figure out, nuances as far as what the wide receivers can and can't do in certain packages and how they kind of distribute those reps. But I think for Kyle Phillips, that's been the question for me. When is he going to face a heightened level of competition? Because he looks great out there right now, but respectfully to your boy Kenneth George,
Yeah.
it's not quite fair.
So
I would say
that was in the bubble, right, on Friday, where he kind of put Kenneth George into the spin cycle.
I've seen a couple.
Today was Chris Jackson.
Yes, he got Chris Jackson in the one-on-ones early.
Yeah, beats him on a little post pattern. Like I said at the top, beat him right off the line of scrimmage with the first step. Would love to see some work from Kyle Phillips against slot corners, against Roger McCreary, and against Elijah Molden.
So we'll see how that goes through the next couple of days. A reminder, the Titans are off the practice field tomorrow and will resume practice Thursday, Friday, a break on Saturday, and then back to work on Sunday. 615-737-1045 if you want to jump in. We can answer any questions that you might have about what took place at Titans camp today. Malik Willis currently speaking to the media, talking about an explanation of what it means to marry his footwork with his processing. Brett, that's on our buddy Teron Davenport's Twitter timeline. Could you pull that up?
I'll pull it up.
For
Yeah,
me
give me a sec.
quickly, and we'll hear from the Titans rookie third-round quarterback here momentarily about it, because I think that's something that people are keeping an eye on. I thought Malik looked cleaner today. It's about how he processes the mistakes, how he moves on from the mistakes that he's making, fundamentally, recognition-wise or otherwise. And I think that's something that from Malik Willis is what Todd Downing talked about earlier. But in the meantime, let's hear from the third-round pick himself.
What I'm used to going within my footwork process. I'm processing the information and knowing what I need to do, but in order to be on time and be able to throw anticipation, I need to help my feet get up to with my processing ability. So it's like knowing what to do, but just getting the reps where you're able to do it without thinking,
How do you? So he's having to think about it a lot, He's having to think about it a lot. It's something that would bog any player at any position down. We talked to Todd Downing about this with Dylan Radins, kind of trusting what the blocks are that they are asking him to execute and getting him more comfortable with it so that he can play faster, so that he can just block the assignment and not necessarily overthink, okay, is my footwork perfect? Is it 100% there, or can I execute the block to the best of my abilities and just trust that this play is going to go well as long as I, what does Mike Vrabel say? Full tilt to the tackle, or I guess in case of the offensive line, full tilt to the block.
You can tell that there's such a comfort level for him with very specific things that he did throughout his entire college career, and then it's the complete opposite of that with things like just taking snaps under center, simply rolling left, throwing on the run while rolling left. not escaping the pocket too early, which is something that he did a lot at Liberty if the first read isn't there. So there's just certain things that you can tell he is very, very comfortable with that maybe he turns to a little bit too quickly.
So as that goes, though, the rookies have been performing at a high level. I mean, honestly, compared to what we've been accustomed to, because I think in the last couple of years they've just had to slow play it so much across the board. And Lucas, I don't know, do we have the stuff from Ryan Tannehill about the rookies, Mike Vrabel about the rookies yesterday?
We have it from Vrabel.
Let's hear from Mike
Hang
Vrabel,
on.
the Titans head coach, who was at the podium yesterday and talking about the situation for the rookies. He was asked specifically about all of these guys seem to be getting it.
Well, the early impact.
Of the rookies. They seem to be acclimating well. It doesn't seem as just disjointed as
I'm pulling it up.
could be in previous Titans camps. We've seen that from rookie classes across the board, and certainly the last couple haven't gone quite as smoothly as I think I don't have to necessarily reiterate for Titans fans. But in all of this, you've seen Chigakonkwo become consistent as a target for Ryan Tannehill, critical to developing that trust with his quarterback. You talk about what we've seen from Roger McCreary in the absence of Elijah Molden, making plays, now legitimately competing for that slot spot. As Elijah Molden, I did not see him on the practice field today. So something to keep an eye on as well as we continue through this. So with everything that's happening, you like to be able to rely on the consistency from the rookies, because that's not any kind of a given that you could have at this point. For Mike Vrabel, he seemed to really relish that. And as far as the rookies are concerned, Ryan Tannehill seemed to kind of express that same excitement that he was getting that kind of work from at least 3 skill position players.
Yeah, because he's not used to that continuity.
No question about it. We're going to have Kristian Fulton sit down with us here in just a second after we get him unstrapped and then the headset put on and talk about
Vrabel.
the day at practice that they had. Kristian sitting down with us now. What's up, big dog? It's good to see you. Camp been good?
Yeah, it's been decent.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Getting
feeling
some
all
good
right
work.
out there?
Yes, sir.
It
Feeling
looks
good.
like it's hugely competitive.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's how we build our team. Going into the season, competing with each other. So I feel like the competition's been there. We got to have guys ready. Guys step into new roles.
So for you, the role isn't new. The defense, honestly, is largely intact. You guys able to play a little faster out here. It feels like everything. It doesn't feel like there's the kind of slow playing that might be normally associated with the start of camp.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you bring guys back, from that previous year, we pretty much brought everybody back except for maybe 1 or 2 guys from what I remember. But everybody pretty much has a feel for everything. It's just about getting back into, being out there on the field, playing fast, and bringing that continuity together. So that's our main thing. Like I said, it's been decent for us, but we still working, day by day.
Kristian Fulton hanging out with us, Titans just off the practice field here on 104.5 The Zone. So in watching you guys, and I know you spent time after practice today working on some technique for the audience who's kind of looking to see how things are progressing out here. What can you kind of tell about the technique work that you're especially focused on right now?
Really, I'm trying to gain weight back, so it's like with me doing that, I'm trying to play with more space in between routes, not be so much on guys, while I'm getting my weight back on. So that's the main thing for me, just trying to find, finesse ways, that I can put into my game, as a DB. And, just always the small things, the fundamentals, you can't get away from that.
So is that because of practice? Because, you guys got to be dropping like 5-6 pounds out here.
Oh,
on
yeah, definitely. That's definitely part of it for sure.
Lawan's been giving me all kinds of hell. He told me I need to go over the sand pit so I can drop these extra couple of pounds I've been trying to lose. Can't get them off my back.
Nah, you don't want to go in that sand pit. You don't want to do that sand pit.
No question about it. So with you, you mentioned that the only thing that's really changing is there's been a couple of guys that have left. Obviously, a dude who played really well for you in spots, Buster Screen, retired. Jackrabbit Jenkins moving on in his career, but still the core of what you guys return. KB's the old head, and I don't think KB's 30 yet. It's crazy how young you guys are, but how much experience you have, even though you may look at a roster and say, man, all these dudes are like 23, 24 years old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, it's just about building, and getting that experience. The experience brings confidence. So we got a lot of confident guys out there, and like I said, the competition that we have out here, the guys that did play, you can tell that they're competing with the younger guys, to give them some kind of experience of what it's going to be like on Sundays. So that's the main thing that we're taking into accountability, just trying to get those guys ready.
It drives me crazy watching the one-on-one reps because it's so skewed to the offense anyway, and I'm watching the way that you guys are trying to technically adapt, and it seems like you guys are holding up really well, even though the circumstance isn't inherently going to be beneficial to you across the board.
Yeah, I think today we did pretty good. Like I said, one-on-one is kind of an offensive drill, but it's all about the competition. At the end of the day, we don't want the guys to catch the ball. And we know once we watch our rep, we watch our technique, see how that was, but we got to bring it to account, the pass rush, the O-line, all that stuff. So we, if we're close on, and they can make a catch, we know that it's going to be contested, or the quarterback might not even throw it that way if we're on him that tight, So we taking that into account, but at the end of the day, it's just about competing.
Kristian Fulton, Titans corner, hanging out with us. Kind enough to do so here on 104.5 The Zone. By the way, you should go check out the Trenches in North Nashville. Incredible shop Kristian and his brother have opened up in my neighborhood. A lot of people really seem it's become a part of the community, which is really been cool to see.
Nah, for sure. We love it over there. Everybody's been welcoming to us. Since me and my brother have opened up over there, and they've shown a lot of love. We're going to continue to do things for the community, in the community, to bring more people around. And like I said, we just appreciate that support.
I got to slide in there, get one of those Buchanan T-shirts, wear it out here to practice.
Yeah.
No doubt. Kristian Fulton hanging out here with us. So a lot of new parts on the offense, though. The skill position players, tight ends, wide receivers. It's a lot of significantly different looking pieces for the guys that you're competing with on a regular basis. Who's kind of impressed you so far?
Pretty much really everybody. Traylon has made some plays. He made a lot of plays. Nick stepping up. It's good to get Rob out here. A vet guy who has a ton of experience. He's coming off injury, but he looks real good. Coming off that injury, and then you bring in the tight ends. I feel like that's a big factor for us. You see those guys making plays, so it's exciting. It's good for us to see new faces. Other than my past 2 years kind of was the same guys that we're going against. So it's fun to see that experience, and I'm excited to see those guys go this year.
With a guy like Traylon's size specifically, and he's obviously got great length, great size, and when you're trying to play a receiver like that, what are kind of the technical things that you have to keep in mind? Because he's going to be looking to find subtle ways to push off, trying to gain the advantage, whatever little tricks and things that both DBs and wide receivers use to make sure that they can execute as well as humanly possible. What are kind of the keys for you on a player like that?
Yeah, just like I said, working on more ways, for finesse. You can't really get into guys like that with big bodies because obviously they're going to get a subtle push off or so. So it's just finding ways, to finesse. Obviously you got to know who you're going against, who you can be physical with and who you can't be physical with. But, it's all part of the game. You got to be tight on them no matter what. But like I said, just find the little details, in my techniques, that I can, cover guys better like that.
You've been out here for a couple of years now, so the camp isn't anything new, but like the whole environment, I guess, feels a little more normalized from when you guys first came in the league. Much different circumstances. It seems you laughed. We all feel it. Dude, what's it been like? Because this is as normal as it's been so long since I've been able to sit here and do an interview with one of you guys like normal. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, for sure. It feels like regular camp, back when I was in college, just having everybody out here, having the family out here, getting to practice. Well, it was just totally different coming from COVID, what I'm saying? Not being able to, really hang around the guys, see families and stuff like that. But having everything normal, it's cool to have. And, just excited, to be back to normal, really.
No question about it. Kristian Fulton, I appreciate you stopping by the tent, hanging out, and continued health and success out there, big dog. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
doing it.
Appreciate y'all having me.
We'll come back. We'll hear from Titans. Actually, Ryan Tannehill spoke yesterday. I think Mike Vrabel's going to be at the podium. So we'll catch the head coach. We'll see what he wants to dog the media about today.
Shane Bowen at the podium.
Have a great time. I lied. Shane Bowen. Mike Vrabel's doing the NFL Network. I got my schedule all mixed up. Thanks, Kristian.
Yeah, no problem.
Welcome back. It's the Buck Rising Show on 104.5 The Zone, broadcasting live from St. Thomas Sports Park at Titans training camp. Third-year corner Kristian Fulton just joined the show, was talking about the new faces that he's been going up against in training camp, and he mentioned the tight ends, and I feel like the tight ends are a big factor for us. So let's talk to one of those new faces at the tight end position as Austin Hooper is at the podium meeting with the media now.
Just my process, who I am. So that's how I'd answer it.
Mics are off.
If you were in the same place last year, you'd probably know every single thing of
Sure.
the offense. Is it still a learning of the offense thing, or where do you fine-tune your
Yeah,
game
certainly.
to
I
get
mean, there's definitely some things I still got to get more comfortable with. Like I said, playing different spots. I mean, sometimes I get my wires crossed. So that's something I really got to challenge myself is, showing the coaching staff I can handle it. So got to limit mistakes in terms of alignment, assignment, and just get where you're at. But it's a fun challenge being able to be put in different spots, and a challenge I embrace.
You certainly understand the business of this league, but how disappointing you and your guy Kevin Hogan didn't get to work together here like you had thought.
Yeah, my college quarterback. I mean, yeah, obviously it's my college quarterback. In a perfect world, I'd love him to be here, but that's not up to me. I'm wishing him the best here. He's down there in Houston. So yeah, I mean, that's my guy. I'll see him. But my job is just to play tight end here and do it to the best of my ability.
Said you were staying in his house early. Are you still at his place, or you finally got your own, I guess, by now?
I finally got my own place, yes.
How's the chemistry with Tannehill that you emphasized so much during the off-season program? How's that coming along?
Again, just, reps. Just need more reps. I mean, it's not, built over the course of, spring or a week in training camp. I just really think it's something that's built over, hundreds if not thousands of reps. So when you see me sneaking over during the special teams period or after practice trying to spot it up, I just need those reps, just see the ball coming out of his hand, like his angle, how he, sees my body move, like what's my tell when I break, stuff like that. Just little subtle things that, you can't replace other than just repetition and time. So, I mean, it's a tedious process, but it's a necessary one.
What's the same kind of thing for working with the offensive line and the blocking assignments as far as kind of getting the chemistry, understanding the reps and the certain assignments that you guys are having to execute?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, language pretty much the same. I mean, I'm not spilling any beans here about our offense, but I mean, everyone runs outside zone, you know what I mean? So that part was a lot easier for me to pick up. I mean, dealing with, the passing game and learning the guy getting you the football and learning that style of passing game. I mean, there's a lot of carryover around the league, but a lot of new fun wrinkles. But to answer your question, run game is something I've done for a long time. So that's, of the two, has been a much smoother transition.
When you were in Atlanta, you took a higher percentage of your snaps from Cleveland with out wide. In Cleveland, you had a hand in the dirt more often.
Yeah.
Is there something that you prefer about where you're lined up or where your role in the offense is, whether it's pass or blocking heavy?
Not really. I mean, like you alluded to it, 50% of my snaps in Atlanta, I was a slot receiver, and then I was top 5 in the league in terms of hand in the ground when I was in Cleveland. So I've proven I can do, whatever's asked of me. If it's, pass pro, block gap, scheme zone, if you want me to be a slot guy. So, I mean, my job is to be a tight end, earn my role here, do to the best of my ability, and be a good teammate.
Couple more to you about Chig, just being around him in the tight end meeting room and out on the field. What have you kind of seen from him so far?
Yeah, I like Chig. First of all, Chig's a good guy. It's funny, he's young, he's got energy. He has a willingness to work hard, and I really respect that about him. And another thing too, he doesn't have an ego. A lot of young guys come in from time to time, and they think they have it solved. He's the first one to be like, hey, like, how do you see it like this? I mean, he has it a lot more dialed in now, but when we were working together in spring, especially until Jeff came in the room and came in a little later, it was just bouncing ideas off each other. So it's been fun to work with him. Really athletic, really hungry young player. So, it's not lost on me. A part of my role here is to help him out to the best of my ability, and that's something I embrace. So, it's going to do some great stuff.
We see Tim Kelly working with you a lot on individual period as well as install. What's it been like working with him and just kind of like what he's doing for you guys?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, whenever you have a former play caller in the National Football League come in your room, just kind of kind of just give you some wrinkles, some nuances, a style of thinking that's just, unique, and it's good to be around. So, I mean, you just got to be a sponge, right? You just got to absorb as much knowledge as possible, and a guy who's called plays in the league, who's done it, a bunch of different spots. So it's good to have another resource alongside Luke in that tight end room that we could bounce ideas off of.
All right, that is Tennessee Titans tight end Austin Hooper at the podium. So, Kristian Fulton talking about the tight ends being a big factor. He just enjoys going up against some new faces, some new challenges at Titans training camp. And Hooper, very complimentary of rookie tight end Chig Okonkwo. Will Bowling is here. What's
Hello.
up, Will? How's it
How are
going?
you? I'm doing good.
Good day for the offense today.
Yeah, definitely a lot better day. The two biggest plays coming courtesy of Racy McMath.
Yeah, how about that?
So if you had Racy McMath as the big performer of Titans training camp today, please collect your winnings at the pay window.
Yeah, went down. Looked like maybe the wind got knocked out of him a little bit and then came back out.
Right. Did come back out. It's funny that talking about Hooper, haven't really seen him pop up as much in those team periods as perhaps a lot of us expected, just based on the way that he was able to get chemistry with Ryan Tannehill, the way he kind of flashed in OTAs over the course of the summer. I really haven't seen him as much as Chig Okonkwo has kind of flashed and has kind of been open and been a reliable target for Ryan Tannehill specifically in red zone. But I think the biggest takeaway for me today, Lucas, is that it was the longest time we have seen Malik Willis play in 11-on-11 drills.
Yeah.
Typically, as the third quarterback, Logan Woodside is getting those second-team reps. He's getting a lot of reps. We haven't seen Malik Willis get 9, 10, 11 plays to be able to work with any guys on this roster, even really the threes or the rookies. So had that opportunity today, still just holding on to the football for way too long. But overall, doesn't diminish what the offense achieved today.
A lot more talk about the rookies today. Kyle Phillips looked really good in individual drills. Just heard Austin Hooper praising rookie tight end Chig Okonkwo. And we were talking about it with Buck a few minutes ago. It's just been a different conversation about rookies this early in training camp in a positive way for the Titans. Mike Vrabel talked about it a little bit yesterday at his press conference about the early impact that the rookies have shown. Here was the head coach from yesterday.
The better they do and the more reps that they earn and they just continue to try to define their role, we put them in there. The more that they can handle and the more that they take advantage of the opportunities that they get, they earn more opportunities. So whether they're rookies or eighth-year players, third-year players coming from another team, whatever it may be, it's important that they continue to have the evaluation process that we can see what they can do, how much they can handle, and then, if we need to pull back or dial back a little bit, we can.
That's Mike Vrabel on the rookies' early impact so far in Titans training camp. Buck Rising has made his way back from the podium.
And your mic's not on.
Buck's mic's not on. Let's go to break. When we come back, hour 3 of the
Kirby,
Buck
nowhere
Rising
to be
Show.
found.
Hour 3 of the Buck Rising
Jason
Show.
Martin and Ramon Foster.
If you go out and say they're winning games because of Ryan Tannehill, I think it changes the entire outlook of this team.
Tomorrow from 6 to 10 a.m.
104.5 The Zone. Lovely to have you here. That belly laugh that you hear in the background, Ronald Slade.
Yeah.
Out here at Titans practice.
I'm on the field.
Capital J.
You know what I mean?
Journo, what happened?
Is this your debut?
Hey,
Titans training camp debut?
I'm going to tell you what, man. I'm going to be honest, man. Like, all the years the Titans been here, man, this is my first time coming out here.
Well,
I always
why
supported
would
the
you
Titans.
come out otherwise?
Yeah, this is true. I mean,
I like
to be with the guys. I like to feel the energy, and this is feeling the energy right here.
There was energy today, a better offensive, energetic day than it was for the defense. That's not been the case in the last couple of days.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what'd you take notes? I didn't hear any press conference questions asked. In fact, I thought you seemed like you were appalled by our behavior in a press conference.
I am, man. And as a player, standing at the podium is totally different now. Watching it from the media side of it, man, the way y'all out there just interrupting each other and everything, man, y'all need – see, the problem is with y'all need to have Big Mama out here talking to the media. And Big Mama need to point at y'all and let y'all know when y'all can go on and talk, man, because y'all just out there, how that's talking. Okay, you got it. Yeah, I'm like, hey, man, that ain't how you ask no question, man. You know what I mean? But – I like how you conducted yourself, my brother.
What? It's because I'm a pro.
I can understand.
And I will elbow you in the throat if you try to get and talk over me when I'm asking a question.
I'm with that.
It's a fight out here in these press conferences. Yeah, we did get Big Mama one time. I can't remember who it was. Who it was specifically. I think it was somebody with the league that said, no, we're not doing this way. I'm going to call on you. Raise your hand, and then you will ask a question
the way it should be.
appropriately. So who stood out? What'd you see?
Oh, man, one thing that I took immediately, man, I gotta be able to talk to Brewer at some point, on camera, off camera, just to find out where he get that fight. You know what I mean? The fight in the dog. It's one of those situations. Because, man, I'm 6'8", 286 right now.
Yeah.
I feel like I can go put on pads, and we don't need to put the ball down and say hike or nothing, but let's just go stand there, and I probably could fit in a little bit.
Yes.
You know, by the profile.
I would say put you at the end.
Man. Brewer, I had to ask Ramon, hey, man, is he an end coming off? What is he? Is he supposed to be putting his hand in the dirt to come off?
Who's that middle linebacker?
You know what I'm saying?
Who is that?
So, but you don't hear anything but great things from him, man. So I'm interested to see what it's like when he talks about it, you know. So that's something that jumped out. I love the defense. I love the fight. Ola got into it a little bit, got held, and, fought back real quick, and then had to go to the sand pit. So it's still cool, you know what I mean? But it's still good to see that fight, man.
That's trash.
Ola got into it a little bit with the rookie undrafted free agent out of USC, Jalen McKenzie.
Yeah, and
he kind of pushed him back a little bit.
Any relation to Khalil McKenzie?
Oh.
Yes?
I think it
relation to Khalil McKenzie? Son?
Reggie's son, so Khalil's brother.
Yeah. So, yes, Khalil is he's the former defensive lineman, now offensive lineman, I think, for the Chiefs or the Ravens somewhere. Anyway, son of Reggie McKenzie, the former Oakland Raiders general manager and VFL Association.
Mm-hmm. We love them all. We love them all. It was good to see him, though. Him have a little fight in him, but that was standing next to an offensive guard, a former offensive guard in Ramon Foster.
Yeah.
He said, man, that was a dirty play.
Wait.
So Ola was right in doing that. So I was like, okay. So
and a rookie too, right?
Yeah, and a rookie. Yeah. So that was good to see, man. But everybody moving as a unit. It's good to see Ben Jones out there moving good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even when he go down, he get up. That's
he didn't have a choice today. Daniel Munyer did not practice, so no snaps for him to botch.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, behind Ben Jones. But I think it's been pretty competitive the first couple of days in pads.
Mm-hmm.
And in listening to we heard from Shane Bowen, the defensive coordinator, and then Austin Hooper, the tight end, talked with the media. And I think it's interesting, Slay, to hear them talk about the differences between trying to acclimate to a new run game versus a new pass game.
Yeah.
Because I asked him the question, what you're not just trying to get chemistry with a quarterback, with wide receivers, you're also working with the offensive line.
Right.
It's the most interconnected position probably on that side of the ball.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting to hear him say that he was kind of adapting better to what they were doing as far as the run game is concerned, because I think they've looked crisp together, Tannehill and Hooper.
Right.
So to hear that he feels better about the run game even than he does the passing game, where he seems to be excelling, that should instill confidence.
Yeah, and I think when you listen to him coming from different places, where he was standing up with Atlanta and then, like he said, got my hand in the dirt with Cleveland, it's good to be able to say, hey, man, we need you to be a jack of all trades. Can you pick it up? And going to each situation, he's been able to. And then you just said, him working with Tannehill, and he don't feel like that's the strength right now.
Yeah.
He feels that it's blocking. So if that's happening from the naked eye from us, and it's probably different when they're watching film, that's good for us right now, especially in training camp. So good to see him adapting.
But he also said it's just been a smoother transition, which I think is totally fair.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at a team like the Tennessee Titans and they're going to run the ball, and, he said everybody's doing outside zone blocking.
Everybody runs outside zone.
Yeah.
I think that's easy to set into. So good for him, man. Good for him.
Did you put anybody in the boom boom room while you were out here?
You know what? I was talking to Puff, man, and I was telling him, man, he was like, who you getting in the boom boom room? I told him, man, listen, I got a wide range of guys I want to get in the boom boom room. But one I'm looking for, like I said, I want to get Brewer in there, man. I also heard that Dylan Cole, man, Cole World, he's a good interview.
Who, Captain Caveman? Yeah. Stop it. Man, it's a human bicep.
Yeah, but we missed Weaver last year. We
had Weaver yesterday.
Oh, yeah, but Boom Boom Room.
Oh, okay.
Now, Buck, I know we all on the same station, but the Boom Boom Room is, it's its own entity.
It's a different environment.
Yeah, man. Like when you come into the zone, man, you got all these pretty studios, and then you got to go down the steps to get to the Boom Boom Room. Don't nobody, like, Will don't put no videos down there or nothing, you know what I mean? So we're just different.
Well, you can't. There's probably FCC-related violations.
This is true.
What is this in the background? What am I hearing?
I ain't got no room. You know what that is.
He tried to yell it out on the practice.
You almost turn me up. Hold on. Hey, be careful doing that, man.
If you're going to play it,
don't do that.
Play it.
Yeah, don't tease us.
I didn't know I didn't want you to get in trouble out there. So
well,
I
you
tried to play
would.
as quiet as I could.
Nobody can hear it other than us in our ear
Yeah.
section. Play the music.
I lose my mind.
Play it, damn it. Let's go.
That let you know Titans right here. Hey, yo. I ain't got no roof. That's right, baby. I just jump on one of these John Deere mowers, man, and just tear this field up.
No, listen,
if you ain't careful, I need to stay off of it.
No, I need you to hijack one of these damn John Deere mowers because I'm gonna. Me and the equipment staff, we're gonna fight. They bring this thing right by the tent every time we're doing an interview.
That's purposely.
It's intentional. I'm sure I've said something nasty about the Titans in the last 7 years. They haven't let go.
That's low down.
The whole crew come over here and just wreck things.
Tell me this, Buck. My first time coming out here.
Yeah.
What should I look for? Like, I enjoyed being with Moan. I told him I need to get out here with him. And so I can look at it from the trenches because I'm a trenches guy. Now building out of it, what do I need to look for? You're a vet in this.
So you're looking let's take it by levels, all right? You're looking about how the linebackers are playing behind the defensive lines. They're executing certain assignments. You're looking to see how guys fill those gaps that come available that the offense is trying to exploit. And certainly, basically, who's in the right position as far as the offensive line is concerned? Are they blowing blocks even though they're not going full speed? And then, it's easy with the wide receivers and the defensive backs. You're just looking for competitiveness among the two positions. It's less about the intra-position battle as it is Robert Woods and Caleb Farley or Kyle Phillips and Roger McCreary, and the kind of technique that they're playing with. If they get beat, what do they do when they get beat? If Malik throws an interception, does he turn around and jog back to the huddle, or does he do what he did yesterday, which is throw his hands up and then get his ass chewed by Todd Downing?
Like, what are you doing?
That's not what they do.
You're pro
out here. So, that's kind of the, from a day-to-day, otherwise you're going to be out here tracking like field goal completion percentage.
I can see that. Now, let me ask you this also. As a guy coming out here watching, you hear the whistle blow pretty quickly. Is that just to clean up the trash when the play is going and you think they're going down? Or is it a time where we get to training camp and at a point they letting it go? Or is that just for like when Tampa Bay comes?
I will answer your question with a question.
Okay.
Who did you not see on the offensive side of the ball taking place in team drills or taking part in team drills? Anybody?
King.
The King. Derrick Henry does not do these things.
Okay.
You are limiting any contact with other players.
Yeah.
You are limiting contact with the ground.
Right.
Because if Racey McMath lands on his back and knocks the wind out of him like he did earlier today, that's costing practice valuable reps. And don't you go to the ground, you mother bleeper. You stay up.
Right.
They were chewing out a few players for just being on the ground around Malik Willis when he was rolling right. Like, get out of the way.
The ground is lava.
Right.
We do not touch the ground on the practice field.
Hey, well, that's good, man. So you teaching them things, man. But so when you get the other teams up here, what we got? Tampa Bay this year. Who else?
Arizona and Tampa Bay coming through.
Okay, so how long do you go live in those
team drills?
Yeah,
you go live. So the 11 on 11, and you'll see one-on-ones. You'll see the linebackers for the Cardinals come over and work pass pro with the running backs for the Titans. Like, they'll mix the individual drills.
Right.
They'll obviously mix the team drills, and that's more important. It's less sexy for the audience because once the preseason games get here, nobody cares about what's happening in practice.
Right.
They care about what they saw on their television.
Exactly.
But the product out here during those joint training camp practices is so much of a better measure of, all right, who is competing with who. You're going to see more of the top flight guys than you would in a preseason game because Tannehill isn't playing.
Right.
Lawan ain't playing.
Right.
Henry isn't playing. Jeff isn't, like, so on down the line. So it's your best measure of how they're actually competing with opposition as opposed once you get out there and let the second and third team guys run.
One more thing for you. You know, and I'm
Am I in the boom boom
no,
boom?
Yes, you. In a sense, you are.
Give me the music.
You know, unknowingly.
Give me the music.
Unknowingly.
What happened?
Come on, put them in there, BB.
Yeah.
That's right.
One man.
That's right.
On
That's
his
right.
way in.
That's right. Hey, that's right. Lock the door.
Well, like 3 questions
BB.
in, but whatever.
That's right. Yeah, it don't matter. You know what I mean? The door get locked, it open, it don't matter. I'm the only one can do it. But this is the thing. I did see one guy that stood out a little bit. Jordan Wilkins. Tell me what's his role? What could be his role with this team?
So special teams is how he's going to have to make his living, and he was kind of a liability out there last year. But that's basically the Dontrell Hilliard spot that they're competing with. That's your obvious passing down situation back, depending on how often they're going to leave Derrick Henry in passing situations. Those are the kind of guys. Now, he's getting a fair amount of reps.
Yeah,
in the absence of Derrick.
Yeah.
In the absence of Derrick, he's getting a fair amount of reps. But, you know, he's been in the league for a couple of years. He played a couple of years with the Colts. He came to the Titans last season, hung around on the practice squad, and then had a couple of special teams plays that were noticeable, some utterly forgettable. But, yeah, he's competing for basically how many backs you think they're going to keep.
Yeah.
If you are sharing a number with someone, though, you're probably behind it to some degree.
Really?
If I'm sharing a number with somebody?
Jordan Wilkins sharing.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
man.
if you're out here running college dupes.
Right. He's sharing a number with Trey Swilling, the corner from Georgia Tech.
Now, I would say that you are right, but I don't think that that's inherently how it should look. It should be an idea of, all right, what's your running back depth look like? Derrick, Hassan Haskins are on the team. Dontrell Hilliard is on the team. Are you going to keep a fourth running back when you have a fullback?
Right.
Probably not.
Right.
So at that point, it's Torrey Carter, Derrick Henry, Hassan Haskins, and Dontrell Hilliard. So Wilkins practice squad at best.
Since we're in the boom boom room, and I can ask anything I want to because this is my room, even though it's your show.
No bleep.
Should have never came in here.
Well, I like it in here.
Okay,
I was born in a place like the boom boom.
Well, good. Let me ask you
out
something.
the muck.
Let me ask you something before I head out of here. What role do you think a guy that is as dynamic and speedy as a Mason Kinsey is going to play with this role with the 53-man roster?
You're 6'8", but I will still swing on you. I will swing on you.
Man, I just had
Look, you were rocking back and forth.
It was a serious question at first.
You were rocking back and forth like you did something.
Man, sometimes I just need answers, man. I just need answers.
He's literally tickled with himself. He is moving as if somebody was tickling him with his own joke.
Man,
what is this happy wiggle? What is happy wiggle that I just saw?
That's why I feel so good.
You big idiot.
I like Ray Charles. I feel so good. I feel good.
In the glasses.
I feel like you can't let him out of the boom boom room without a deeply uncomfortable personal question.
Okay.
A deeply uncomfortable personal question.
Yes.
I was just asked one. I feel attacked.
No, that doesn't count.
No, okay, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Now,
like I said, you're 6'8", but I'll swing on you.
I know, and I don't want you to, even though Pants trying.
I don't want to.
Pants
I don't want to do this to you.
So this is what I need to know. We pushed the line back for training camp.
Yeah.
For you.
Yes.
Why didn't we reach this mark? Because I saw you at work. I saw you putting in the work. Now, I will say the videos stopped coming. I don't know if you didn't want to show anybody else because we were getting closer to the match and you want to hold your secrets.
Hold
to
my
what
best
it really
punches?
was. Yeah, but
I was out here pulling a truck on Sunday morning. They had me hooked up like a dog sled.
How did we push it back? Where are we, to Baltimore now?
220 by Baltimore. Yeah, no, you
got sidetracked?
You did a little.
You backslided?
Yeah, it was my birthday weekend. Everybody backslides on a birthday weekend.
Ain't
Hey, a little Church and Union dinner, a little Kane Prime dinner, a little Dirty Little Secret. Afterwards, lots of tequila soda, and then all of a sudden I had missed the mark by 6 pounds as opposed to. Yeah, no,
you were so close.
It was bad. Well, yeah, I had it. I was 224 3 weeks before camp, and then all of a sudden, there was all manner of intoxicants that were polluting.
They put me
my
on one of
system.
these road trips with you. You're going to still miss it. I just need to go on one of these road trips with you. I'm going to guarantee you can miss that mark.
Well,
that's what I'm here to do.
No, once
Guarantee
the
you missing
season,
the
season gets here, it's over. I don't care how fat I get during the season.
Yeah,
There's
that's good.
4 hours worth of press box food.
Was
behind
that
me at
personal
every
enough
game.
for you, man?
Yes, it was personal.
Yeah, it'll work.
Okay,
He just wanted somebody to fat shame me. Nobody's done it yet.
BB, unlock the door.
Nope. He just threw his headset. He threw his headset.
Hey, Slade.
BB.
Hey, I have been looking for like 15 minutes.
He said,
I cannot find it. So the Ric Flair's right next to him, and I figured that'd be good enough because I cannot find the button to let him out of the room.
Brett, who is this training camp experience been more of an indictment on? Any player on the field or you? Because I feel like you're getting a lot of unnecessary heat.
Oh, both.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Hang on.
That was a kid. That was
He's going to put a Band-Aid on it with Ric Flair.
That was a verbal. That was that little that was a verbal version of Slay's happy wiggle. Get your big ass out of here.
Hey, I'm out.
3HL 3-6 104.5 The Zone. Ron Slay making his Titans training camp debut. Be gone with you. Back to the shadows. Smoke a cigar in his honor later after camp today. But yes, it was an entertaining day on the field for the Tennessee Titans. We're going to talk about what took place at practice that we haven't covered just yet. Will Bowling has some practice notes. Perhaps I'll harass our buddy Cam Wolf from the NFL Network in between television hits with the head coach and Kevin Byard, Ryan Tannehill, and the like to come over and stop by as well. Stay right there. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone.
The Buck Rising Show is powered by Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. Visit springhillac.com.
Most certainly is. You need Spring Hill AC on a day like today. Weather starting to heat up out here at St. Thomas Sports Park. Welcome back to 104.5 The Zone. So, Will is dancing to the music. Will Bowling is here.
Wasn't me. It was somebody else was dancing. It wasn't me.
Shameful. Shameful.
Hello.
How are we?
I'm great.
What did you observe today?
Observed a lot of Malik Willis getting his longest run in team periods that we've seen him have. Usually it's about 3 or 4 snaps at a time. Today he had pretty much a full team period. And not a whole lot from the ones and 11 on 11 towards the end of practice. They kind of gave some of the rookies that opportunity. That also included Caleb Farley, who was out there, did have a nice pass breakup in front of Nick Westbrook-Akina on a ball thrown by Ryan Tannehill. But other than that, it was the offense kind of hitting back on the defense. Ryan Tannehill saying things weren't clean enough. They were cleaner today, and that included 2 big bombs to Racey McMath.
Yeah, so that's been kind of the tenor of practice in the last couple of days. It seems like the secondary is getting a lot of good PR, and rightfully so. There's a lot of good reps to be had out there, and in seeing ways that guys can easily get beat in one-on-ones but still find ways to make recovery. I think that's been the biggest thing that I've noticed from day 1 to day 6 now, as far as how they're coaching up that technique. Instead of being so grabby, instead of committing penalties in one-on-ones, which you don't want to see,
right?
That kind of stuff is slowly starting to be ironed out, it would seem, on the practice field.
I would say so. Caleb Farley had 1 holding penalty today that Mike Vrabel specifically yelled, said holding 3, do it again, first down.
Yeah.
On a play in an early on in team periods. But I think the next step, Buck, for the rookies is that we're seeing them really make good plays on the offensive side of the football in one-on-ones. Hasn't really been the case in the team periods. Kyle Phillips hasn't had a very big impact in 7-on-7s and in those red zone team periods and 11-on-11 periods. Really the only rookie that has flashed in those team periods as a pass catcher has been Traylon Burks. He's the guy that has risen above. Certainly not any cause for concern there, but that's the next step that Kyle Phillips has got to take. It's got to go from, hey, I'm putting guys on skates, Chris Jackson, Kevin Byard, whoever it is on that day in one-on-ones. Now how do I show up in team periods and get open?
There has been involvement from Chig Okonkwo
there has.
in those periods.
Okonkwo is the other exception, a guy that's probably just been pretty consistent and pretty steady from what he's done in individual periods to team drills. Burks is just the outlier, the guy that is continuing to be the guy along with Robert Woods. And I thought Nick Westbrook-Akina had a pretty good day today too, making a lot of plays for this offense. So that trio has been good.
No, I mean, I think that's the wide receivers. The wide receivers, you feel sneaky confident. You feel sneaky confident about them right now, which is not a place that I thought that I would be.
It's a place we never are at this point of training.
Well, just generally with this franchise.
Well, last year, that was the conversation at training camp.
It was, but you also had interceptions that were already being thrown at an alarming rate at this point of camp last year, and that hasn't happened.
He still hadn't thrown one.
Hasn't happened yet.
Tannehill has not thrown an interception. Things to monitor. We asked him yesterday, Tannehill, if this was something, is it a big deal? Is it a situation to monitor? What the case may be. And Todd Downing the same. And basically he said, yeah, I mean, I think it's worth noting if you want them to make mistakes, or if they're going to make mistakes against the Bengals.
Right.
But it is notable that they are largely clean to this point. Now, yesterday was not what you would call a clean and crisp period, but as far as taking care of the football, if they are going to continue to play the style of football that we know they want to play, then turnovers have to be paramount. They have to be the most important thing, because you can easily win the playoff game when you have 9 sacks and you don't turn the ball over 3 times. That's basically the most fundamental formulaic way to have success in the National Football League. Turnovers will happen. Turnovers are unpredictable. You can prepare for them. You can't necessarily game plan them. But I think all these different things are worth keeping an eye on, just because it speaks to a larger efficiency level with the offense, not just the quarterback, even though he's the one not throwing the interceptions.
I would agree, and we did see 1 turnover today. Jordan Wilkins put the ball on the turf. That was late on in 11-on-11. Defense was able to come up with that. But the heat, it's the classic training camp cliche, Buck, of the heat was turned up, and the heat was turned up on the field, because we saw a little bit more of feistiness from the offensive line and the defensive line. Everybody was just a little bit more physical today. coaches yelling at linebackers, yelling at safeties to finish through the tackle and to make the play, and a coach yelling at David Long at one point, make the tackle, make the play, after kind of pulling up there at the very end. So certainly the feistiest practice that we have seen so far.
Could see Kevin Byard getting at Caleb Farley a little bit when he was beaten on that deep ball. One of the 2 touchdowns Racey McMath had, one was on Fulton, the other was on Byard, or on Farley rather, where you saw KB getting after him a little bit.
And one of them was Fulton slipped. He fell down, which allowed McMath to be wide open for an easy touchdown. The second one, that was not the case. The one where Racey McMath seemed to knock the wind out of himself on a catch in the back of the end zone, and Caleb Farley was pretty disappointed. I did like, though, later on in practice, Farley came back and made a play on Nick Westbrook-Akina, and his pass breakup that was notable against Ryan Tannehill came after that moment when he gave up the bomb to Racey McMath. So at the very least, if these things are going to happen, you want to still make a play later on in the practice. Give yourself a good taste in your mouth as you go into tomorrow.
As opposed to a bad taste in your mouth. What would a bad taste in your mouth consisting of training camp practice?
Well, I mean, you just talked about all the food you ate over the past couple weeks of your birthday. So you
1 week. 1 week. 1 week to ruin it all.
It's like a 2-week celebration. What are you talking about?
Well, I like my birthday. It's a good time.
I mean, a bad taste in your mouth at training camp is a lot like what training camp looked like in 2021 with players not being able to finish practice consistently, players that Ryan Tannehill needs to get reps with around him, and the interceptions. That's what a bad taste looks like in training camp.
Bad taste in your mouth is getting roasted in the film room because you gave up a busted coverage, then you never made a play on the back end to make up for it.
Questions about Titans training camp, we got you. 615-737-1045. Jump in if you like. Also some breaking news in the NFL that we've been tracking throughout the course of the day. The NFL has administered punishment to the Miami Dolphins organization regarding their tampering with Tom Brady across multiple seasons, 2019, 2020, and apparently 2021, with two different franchises that Brady was currently under contract for. Also worth noting, because it is one of the Titans' opponents in this coming season, Tim Patrick. This is from Robert Mays at The Ringer. Tim Patrick getting carted off the field at Broncos camp after twisting his leg, coming down from a crazy leaping catch. The entire team is huddled around him as he gets loaded onto the cart. Just brutal.
Be a big loss for them.
That's awful.
Well, their passing game is sneaky good. They've got a lot of fun wide receivers.
They've got weapons there, but I think he's a key part of that with Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy. What that would have opened up for Tim Patrick, I say would have as if I know what the injury is already, but it doesn't sound good.
And tight end of Vanderbilt fame, Albert Okwuegbunam, whose name I spent many. No, that's Missouri.
Yes, I was going to say, different black and gold team.
Yeah, he ended up, you know why I know that? Because he ended up dummying Vanderbilt on a game that I was doing.
Oh, I was going to say it's because he was on the last team that Vanderbilt beat in the SEC. He was on that Missouri team.
I think I was there for that game.
Yeah.
I think I was there.
Alberto.
Many moons ago.
Okwuegbunam. Are there any play-by-play? Yeah. Are there any play-by-play names that you guys have been scared of? Because given you both are aspiring future Jim Nances and
the problem is
God knows who else.
Play-by-play and doing track and field when you have Kenyan and Ethiopian distance runners. Like I had an Igbenogany in a meet years before Noah Igbenogany of Auburn cornerback fame became an NFL prospect and became a pro prospect whom the Titans were interested in at one point during that draft. But that was one of them. That was one of them for sure, of Igbenogany. And then when you're the stadium announcer for these things and you're saying someone's name as they're, leading after lap 12, it's, Igbenogany, and they're looking up at you like, get my name right. How dare you?
Somebody's parents watching, just tweeting furiously in the background. Speaking of injury updates, tough end to Bills practice, according to Ben Volen, a Titans opponent who is much closer on the schedule than the Denver Broncos. Safety Jordan Poyer suffering a potentially serious arm injury. Remember that Jordan Poyer was a first-team All-Pro in 2021. So you're starting to see these camp injuries come about. This is why, because I saw somebody bitching earlier in the comments on YouTube, let me see if I can find it, about the lack of physicality in the NFL, or why tackling stinks now in the NFL because they bubble wrap the players during certain parts of training camp and blah, 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 blah. Jael, our guy, who writes on YouTube. This is why I think this is the first time in 6 days I've looked at the YouTube chat. It's been a while. Hello, friends, on Zone TV, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. He writes, this is why tackling in the NFL is not as good as back in the day. I don't give a bleep about back in the day. I give a bleep that Derrick Henry is available to play week 1 because he has not suffered some foolish injury going through a routine team 11-on-11 thing. I don't care whether you if you want to whine and complain about tackling has suffered and defense is not as good as it used to be. I don't care about defense anyway. I want to watch offense. I want to score. I want to watch touchdowns. I want to see points. That's what the viewing audience cares about. The league doesn't care about. That's why all the rule changes have been in favor of the offense. These things don't matter. Get over it. This is NFL football in the modern day.
I mean, Derrick Henry has done a lot of sandpit work over the past couple of years and has had
sandpit.
zero issues running through people's faces once football actually starts.
I'm not worried about Derrick.
It's not
taking
Well,
part
that's what I'm defending that stance. I'm with you for once in our relationship. I'm behind you.
Congratulations on being on the right side of history for the first time. Well done by you. Maybe a round of applause for him, Brett Batchelor? Do you have that at your disposal? Am I putting you on the spot? Perhaps in real time?
Well,
yeah, that's no.
I lost it.
And for that reason,
I was doing something on the computer, and then I just ran over here.
It's okay. I scared you.
Lucas is getting PTSD from like the first couple months of this show existence.
How much did you hate me when the show started? I just call for random things audio.
I'm just so good at my job that it just never.
What are you trying to say? Don't do that to Brett.
No, I'm not saying anything about
That's
Brett.
exactly what you did. That was such. Brett, was that not a direct?
Oh.
Thank you, Brett.
Thank you, Brett.
There you go.
Is that not a direct
I
shot at
do not
you?
take any slack from Lucas. Lucas has been a big help to me, so it's all good.
Let's go.
This is entirely too diplomatic. I'm trying to breed my own training camp competition here. Brett, perhaps it could be you sitting next to me at training camp.
From you too, Buck.
Yeah,
I appreciate all the support. So.
I'm nothing if not.
If it's supposed to be support, I'm not sure, but
that's the
I'll
first
take it in a good way.
time that Buck has been called supportive.
I think I'm plenty supportive. I'm very supportive of both of you. You don't deserve me, honestly. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. So, yes, the latest on the Dolphins situation. Lucas, you said there was a Brian Flores statement that has since put out and some details regarding the lawsuit put down by Brian Flores alleging that several member institutions of the NFL have hired with racially discriminatory practices. What do you have for us on that front?
Yeah, so we saw that the NFL recognized impermissible contact between the Dolphins and Tom Brady, and also between the Dolphins and Sean Payton when he was still the head coach of the New Orleans Saints as it pertains to tampering. But we noticed that there was nothing to do with Brian Flores' allegations that he was getting bonuses for losing football games with the Miami Dolphins. And Brian Flores has put out a statement where he said, "I am thankful that the NFL's investigator found my factual allegations against owner Stephen Ross are true. At the same time, I am disappointed to learn that the investigator minimized Mr. Ross's offers and pressure to tank games, especially when I wrote and submitted a letter at the time to Dolphins executives documenting my serious concerns regarding this subject at the time, which the investigator has in her possession. While the investigator found that the Dolphins had engaged in impermissible tampering of, quote, unprecedented scope and severity, Mr. Ross will avoid any meaningful consequence. There is nothing more important when it comes to the game of football itself than the integrity of the game. When the integrity of the game is called into question, fans suffer and football suffers." So an important detail of the investigation, Tom Pelissero pointed it out, that the investigation did not dispute that Ross said something about offering money to tank games, but it does say there were, quote, differing recollections about the wording, timing, and context.
Yeah, you got to be buttoned up. Like, I understand Flores' frustration in that spot, but you got to be buttoned up. You got to have, if you are going to allege the kind of things that Brian Flores is alleging, you have to have quantifiable evidence of what is taking place. And I mean, he may well go on to be vindicated in some form or fashion, but it seems like Ross being fined $1.5 million, which, by the way, is not $1.5 million to you or I. It is $1.5 million to a billionaire who literally just, Lucas, you could speak to this, literally just manifested a Formula One track in the middle of Miami Gardens because it would make more money for him than an entire season of Dolphins games.
Fake water. They had fake water, a fake marina with boats and fake water.
They didn't even call it a marina. It's a fake lagoon.
Yeah.
Tried to give me a fake lagoon. It was painted. Shameful. Everything in Miami, just a Ponzi scheme. One Ponzi scheme after another.
And none of it is actually close to the city of Miami. Like anything
Miami
that happens in that city is not close to downtown.
Yeah. It's Fort Lauderdale.
Baseball, same way.
It's the most frustrating thing about when the Titans play at Miami. I want to stay on South Beach. I don't want to stay in Miami Gardens.
Like you're a fit on South Beach. Like your wardrobe alone, like that plays on South Beach.
I love South Beach.
Yeah.
South Beach is tremendous.
Your floral print would fit in really well there.
Other than their alcohol prices, because a shot of Jameson
you
should
live
not.
in Nashville.
Well, sure, but like I can get a glass of. We've talked about this before. I can get a sipping glass of really, really good tequila with on the rocks with a lime for $27. Okay, I can do that.
$27.
I can
Way
do
too
that.
much money.
Woo.
Now he's good with the budget.
Johnny on
I
the
came
spot.
prepared this time.
Shame on you. I can get a shot of Jameson for that same amount at a bar on South Beach.
$27 for a shot of Jameson?
It's a shock. You should be able to buy a bottle of Jameson for $27.
I think a
could
bottle
at
of
a liquor
Jameson
store down
probably
the
costs
street.
$25.
Yeah,
I
right.
think it costs $25.
That's
Yeah.
kind of crazy.
So South
you know.
Beach prices. It's not. It's comparable. Nashville's getting there. Cost of
We're
living
on our
going
way.
up. Yeah, certainly.
Depends where you hang out.
Well,
That is true.
No, don't encourage him, Kirby. We've already been through his East Nashville dive bar snobbiness.
Don't disrespect a good East Nashville dive bar, though.
I don't.
It's the fabric with which this city
I just
was
like
built.
good deals, Buck.
I disrespect the idea that his snobbery about bars is any different than my snobbery about bars.
I've been in every dive bar in this town, and trust me, none's better or worse than the other.
A Sigs Inside bar is actually the number one on the list of requirements for Kirby for a.
Dude, I was
good
downtown on
establishment.
Broadway in the 80s when you had to step over hookers and passed out winos to go into the 5 bars.
Well, yeah, but now they just call them by different names. Now they're just
They're
bad.
just they're just named after bad country singers.
Nothing's changed.
I almost made a joke there that I probably should not make on FCC
History
radio.
repeats itself.
What a tremendous just the sound of Kirby's voice. I've been in every dive bar that you've seen in this city. They're no better or worse than the others.
Sound like you got a little Vern Lundquist right there.
Vern? No.
Tim Tebow. First down, Florida. No, the best was when he was at the Masters last year and goes, there have been 3 holes in 1 on 16 in Augusta. I've been here for all of them. And just didn't say anything else. That guy's a king.
Speaking of Vern Lundquist in college football, some big local recruiting news
That's
that
right.
we should hit when we come
Oh,
back.
how
Good
about
timing.
that for a tease? Look at that. Lucas is doing enough of the show during training camp. He's even getting better at teases than I am. We will do that. We will inform you of the latest news. We will update the polls. We will wrap up this training camp Tuesday here on 104.5 The Zone.
Buck, Spring Hill.
Times you just can't find the words.
She's just antibiotic. Not an antibiotic.
20 seconds.
Okay.
Say she's what's the word, man? Anaplectic. No, man. Bionic? Bionic. That's what she's the bionic woman. That's what I was trying to say. I called her an antibiotic woman.
3HL with Brent Doherty, Don Davenport, and Ron Slay. Today.
Mike is up.
Yeah. If the summertime heat is causing you to lose your cool, it may be today. Don't let a broken down or older HVAC unit keep you from being comfortable in your home. Hey, it's Buck Rising, and I have the heating and cooling company that can take care of all of your HVAC needs. You know them. It's Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. They've got over 20 years of experience serving all of southern Middle Tennessee. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling is a family-owned and operated company that prides itself on outstanding customer service. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling offers cost-effective solutions such as a free service call with their repairs, plus low monthly payments on those repairs. And if you do need a new unit, Spring Hill Heating and Cooling offers 60-month no-interest financing. They can provide the financing for qualifying purchases and free estimates on replacement units. Plus, they back their work with 10-year parts and labor warranties. When summer is at its hottest, they are at their best. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, two locations to serve you, Columbia and Lyles, and available anytime at springhillac.com.
The team recruiting rankings on 247 Sports. There's a new number 1. Alabama is now at the top of the list, and that is because Independence High School tight end Ty Lockwood has flipped his commitment from Ohio State to the Alabama Crimson Tide.
That's interesting.
4-star prospect, number 9 tight end in the country, number 2 player in the state of Tennessee, according to the 247 Sports Composite. And Alabama now has a better recruiting class than Notre Dame. Tennessee has been pushed out of the top 10 with the 11th best class in the 2023 cycle, 4th best in the SEC.
I think we expected that. That sounds more realistic.
Sounds about right.
Based on where things were trending. I know people got excited by the notion of a top 5 recruiting ranking earlier last month, and then certainly, having the highest ranking recruiting class in the SEC there for a time, with Alabama and Georgia still needing to fill some holes. But I'm sorry, where you said he flipped from Ohio State?
From Ohio State, he's been a long time.
Ohio State's kind of
State for a minute.
Yeah, but Ohio State's kind of taking it in the teeth a little bit with the recruiting mishaps that have come. I read recently, I was listening to Josh Pate talk about this, as a matter of fact, that Ohio State hosted a big recruiting situation that was not positively received, that recruits were kind of put off by the lack of attention that some of them received. Apparently it was too widespread. I think they spread themselves a little too thin on this recruiting class or recruiting visit, just for the amount of players that apparently they had on campus.
Yeah, they took on too much. I know what you're talking about. Ohio State's going to be fine. They've got the 4th best class in the country right now. They've got the best class in the Big Ten, and it's not particularly close. So Ohio State's going to be okay. But Ty Lockwood, Will's right, has been a long time Ohio State commitment, and he's playing his senior year at Independence here in the Mid-State. But the reports of Alabama's recruiting demise were greatly exaggerated.
I was literally just about to say word for word.
Right, and Georgia as well. You knew they were going to bounce back. Alabama's had this little mini avalanche of blue-chip prospects, the number 1 safety in the country committing, one of the best running backs in the country. So they were always going to be okay.
The best kids with the best options.
But the thing that surprises me right now is how Texas A&M is floundering a little bit. I mean, they've got the 8th best class in the SEC. So it's interesting to see how they have not really bounced back in the way that you thought they would. And I know you can say it's only August, but things are sped up now. These are the most critical months of the recruiting calendar, because there's a lot of kids that are shutting down their recruiting process and looking ahead to their final season of high school football before that early signing period in December. Tons of kids want to have that done and put away before their senior season starts, because they're putting pen to paper in December. So with A&M, it is an interesting case study right now. But, yeah, no question Alabama and Georgia are having the bounce back, and LSU for that matter, that everybody thought they probably would.
All right, Brett, do the polls.
I don't know who you are, but I know what it's time for. A poll update on the Buck Rising Show. Here's a young man with a very particular set of skills. With the final numbers, here's Buck Rising Show correspondent and producer, Lucas Pansica.
To the club, maybe?
What? Look at that!
Speak it into existence.
Presented by Two Rivers Ford. You can custom order any new Ford from Two Rivers. They deliver it to you when it gets manufactured. Who are the winners of the weekend? Puka says the England women's soccer team, who brought the Euro trophy back to England with the women's Euro finals. The women are able to bring it home. The men were not.
Thoughts?
It's correct, and it will not be coming home either this November, when England is matched up with the United States of America.
RC says winner of the weekend, the Cleveland Browns, for getting their quarterback after just 6 games.
Yeah, the Browns are happy. Deshaun Watson is happy. Deshaun Watson's legal team is happy because they fought, and it would appear that they have won to some degree. As long as there's not a full season suspension on the table, it is fair to assess Deshaun Watson as a winner of the sports weekend.
Another winner is Baker Mayfield for getting to have his revenge game in Week 1 against the Cleveland Browns against a backup quarterback and not Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I think that bodes a little well for Baker. Although if you had to pick a game where I think the Carolina Panthers lose, I don't think much of Baker Mayfield at all. I really don't.
Who are the losers of the weekend? Puka back at it, saying the judge in the Watson case, who did not apply precedent per victim heard. 4 to 6 games for each victim. Should have been 16 to 24 games. Problem was, she only heard from 4 cases.
The show's attorney, Dan Lust, described it as chickening out on the punishment by Sue L. Robinson.
I will add another loser, Cleveland Browns fans, for giving Deshaun Watson a standing ovation as he took the field for the first time at his first training camp practice. A little bit icky right there.
There's a lot icky about all of this stuff.
That's right.
But, whatever. This is what the NFL gets. It's what the NFL collectively bargained for, and so they must live with the consequences of that action.
Karen says the Ohio State for losing their tight end recruit, Ty Lockwood, out of Independence High School to Alabama. I appreciate Karen including that important legal caveat in there. Herb Herbson on Twitter says Titans secondary against Kyle Phillips, loser of the weekend.
Again, it's the Titans like third and fourth string secondary, so yeah, they're not having a fun time out there.
Who ends the season as the Titans' top corner? 75% say Kristian Fulton, 25% say Caleb Farley.
I think that Caleb Farley is a situation to monitor this year, all year long. We're hoping to have him on the show at some point. We had Kristian Fulton today. If you missed Dan Lust, Kristian Fulton, Ron Slay on the show, go check out the podcast. It's available to you. Just search the Buck Rising Show.
Who ends up as the Titans' starting slot corner? 59% say rookie Roger McCreary. 41% say second-year player Elijah Molden.
Well, it would be McCreary right now because Molden has now missed, 3 consecutive practices? Not ideal.
Would like to see Kyle Phillips matched up against one or both of those guys in individual drills at some point with the way he's been playing.
It feels like they both have a role in this defense because McCreary has the versatility to play other spots. It seems like a matchup week-by-week basis on which guy takes a certain receiver on a certain week.
Yeah, that's what Vrabel's always kind of predicated their defense on. It's not what they call cat coverage, or sometimes they'll play what's called cat coverage, rather. You've got this cat, I've got that cat. And it's a situation where, you saw Buster Screen do that a couple of times. Sometimes he was in the slot, sometimes he was outside. It depends on what kind of defense they're in. If it's nickel, if it's dime, you have more defensive backs that are capable of playing are better than less.
Those are the polls.
All right, very good. That's the show. Well done, boys.
Good work, friends.
Well done, Brett. Well done, Kirby.
Thank you.
The crew. We're signing off for them live at St. Thomas Sports Park. It's okay, Brett. You can turn the music back up. I understand.
I kind of scared myself with it, so I pulled it down real quick.
Respect.
Don't tell me that on air. I'll talk to you tomorrow. We'll be back in studio. We'll be talking some Vols as well, given that the Tennessee Volunteers are starting practice back up. Additionally, as I throw my phone onto the concrete, exceptional job. Prime time tonight, 8 o'clock.